What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Friday. It's a chilly start out there, but appreciate you waking up early this morning and making us a part of your starts on this February 3rd. Dan Kasper Show on the air, radio dials, couple of those, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also available online, sportstalk1051.com. Also, video stream is up on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and of course, the Sports Talk app, Google, and Alexa home devices. F. Bucks. Giannis. What more can we say about the darn Greek freak? Another 50-point game for Giannis late last night. Maybe he didn't stay up late to take in the game, but 54 points for Giannis Antetokounmpo, his third in the last 11 days. 11, yeah, 11 days there, or was it 11 games? But man, what a run he has been on right now. Yeah, 50 points in 3 of his last 11 games. Career high 55 on the third against Washington, 50 in only 30 minutes this past Sunday against New Orleans, and then drops 84 against the Clippers. What more can we say about this man? Well, I mean, come on. This dude. Glad he's on my team. Glad he's on my team. And you know how he's gonna celebrate? I don't know if anybody saw this last night. Did you see how he's gonna celebrate? Well, so today, so last night, so it'd be today, but he's gonna go to Culver's. Gonna go to Culver's and get 50 cheeseburgers and try to eat as many as I can. The rest, I'll have my son eat them or give them to the dog. Going to Culver's. Shout out to Culver's there. How do you not love Giannis? How do you not love that guy? Ah, Bucks had to do the little bit of a comeback there, especially in the fourth, to get that victory, holding the Clippers to just 18 points. Bucks started off slow, falling behind after the first, and outscoring Clippers 28-18 in the fourth to get that victory. Kawhi Leonard's last second shot falling short in the game. So Bucks, they continue their hot stretch right now. They're looking good. They continue to look dominant at home, 22-5 overall at home so far this season. They're hitting on all strides right now. Chris Middleton coming off the bench again, 20 minutes, but put up 16 points and 7 rebounds. Drew Holiday started the game off pretty darn cold, but ended up finishing with 12 points and 8 assists. And before the game, it was revealed that Drew Holiday, thank you for finally getting it right, but Drew Holiday is going to the All-Star game. So Giannis will have a teammate joining him in the All-Star game. This is Drew Holiday's only second time he's being an All-Star, too. This is his second time, which is bonkers. But I guess, you look at the depth at the guard position across the NBA and maybe you can kind of get it there. But good for Drew Holiday to be going to the All-Star game with Giannis. And I got to imagine, I know Giannis kind of already alluded to it, but thinking Giannis will be selecting Drew Holiday with one of his picks before the All-Star game. But with that W, Bucks 6 wins in a row, 8-2 in their last 10, 2 back against or from Boston in the Eastern Conference standings. Holding on to that. Next game up coming for your Milwaukee Bucks will be tomorrow, going up against the Miami Heat in Milwaukee before the Bucks start a little bit of a West Coast trip next week. Portland on Monday, Lakers on Thursday, rematch against the Clippers on Friday. That game against the Lakers, if you're one that's maybe kind of following or paying attention a little bit to LeBron and the scoring title, I guess if you want to call it a career scoring title, it's kind of based off projections. He might break it that Friday night against the Lakers. Getting close. And there's, if you kind of follow, I think he's like 60 some points off, and he's been averaging about 30 points these last couple games for him. So gonna do some math and potential that he could break it against the Bucks on Thursday. So maybe a little bit of history there. Kind of ironic too that it would be against the Bucks breaking Kareem's record, since the two teams that Kareem obviously played for was Milwaukee and the Lakers. And then of course it would be Lakers versus Milwaukee. Weird how things work out, right? Weird how that stuff happens to work out. So we'll talk some hoops and talk about I mean, what I really, we're running out of things to say for the Greek freak and Giannis, for what he has been able to accomplish and what he means for this ball club. But for all the maybe tiresome narratives that we talk about with maybe like an Aaron Rodgers or the Packers, or the frustrations around how the Brewers are building their team, and or maybe lack thereof building their team for some people. Yet you've got Giannis doing his thing, dominating his sport in here in the state of Wisconsin, having fun with it. I mean, I know he's already on a pedestal, but maybe we need to put that man more on a pedestal here. So we'll get to that coming up here in a little bit. Speaking of hoops, Badgers, even though they tried to squander it away last night against Ohio State, they did get the victory against Ohio State, 65-60. Badger hoops, I mean, they started off hot in the first half, putting up 43 points, 43-27. But again, and Greg Gard said it after the game, they're the number one team in the country. He told the media, and apparently told the team the same thing. They're number one team in the country, and making things difficult on themselves. Again, a cold stretch from the Badgers last night in the last 7 minutes and change, 7, 8 minutes. But they held on. 65-60 victory to improve to 13-8, 5-6 in conference play. Ohio State was below them in conference play, so, but again, just kind of struggling there. Not a lot of bench production for the Badgers again. Gilmore, 2 points in 18 minutes. Davis coming off the bench and only playing 6 minutes. Scoreless. You kind of have to wonder now, given where the Badgers are at, may not see a whole lot of playing time coming from the bench. Every single starter for the Badgers last night played at least 32 minutes or more. Tightening things up down in Madison. Connor leading the way with 17. Chucky putting up 15. Stephen Crawl adding 14. Every starter was in double-digit scoring except for Tyler Wall, who was just 2 of 10 from the field and 5 points. Yeesh. But so next up for this Badger hoops team, they're going to be taking on Northwestern in a rematch on Sunday. See if they can bounce back and pick up that victory. Then a little bit of a road trip after that next week. I'll be visiting Penn State and Nebraska before they will be going up against Michigan at the Kohl Center. Greg Gard, Juwan Howard. Sure, that will be talked about a little bit there. Other stuff on the game plan here this morning. We'll talk a little. We'll talk a little bit with Brandon Berg on some Brewer stuff as we inch a little bit closer and closer to pitchers and catchers reporting, spring training, first game starting at the end of this month here too. So Brandon's only going to be on here for a little bit. Got some appointments, so about 7:20 to 8 o'clock this morning. Brandon will be on. Before Brandon, we'll catch up with our doctor, Dr. Austin Crow from Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for a little inside the training room. We'll get to that. We got some cream of the crop. We'll hit that up probably in the 7 o'clock hour. Usually we do it in the 8 o'clock hour, but since Brandon's only going to be on until 8, we'll do a cream of the crop in the in the 7 o'clock hour. You guys and gals can also play along with little cream of the crop. I know Brandon and I have fun with it with the hotkeys and little Macho Man Randy Savage. But the rest of you can have some fun with a little cream of the crop. Who's your picks? Who would be your picks for cream of the crop? And maybe we'll throw a little football talk in here too. Anybody watch the Pro Bowl games last night? Did anybody watch any of it? I'll be honest with you, I didn't. I was watching hoops, but I saw some of the clips on Twitter and Facebook and such. Anybody who watched it, give me an honest assessment. Give me an honest assessment of it. If you were kind of tuning in, maybe you're tuning in with the kiddos, the youngsters out there. What'd you think of it? Any thoughts? Anybody? Maybe even watch a minute of it, a couple minutes of it, or maybe. And I feel like for some people, you didn't know it was going to be on, or you didn't even know it was on. So I'm looking for an honest assessment. Aaron Rodgers obviously not there. He was at Pebble doing some golf, playing in a tournament there, and well, he did have this to say. All right, you're not going to San Fran. Well, knock that team off the list, apparently. No, that was I don't know. I know a lot of people were like a lot of football people and writers were tweeting that up. I it is what it is, but I do kind of find it I do find it kind of I don't know, like that was kind of just a weird name drop or a weird thing to kind of say like I'm not going to San Fran. That's like okay, that was the first thing that came out. Like I don't know. It was just I'm not trying to read into it or anything like that. I'm not trying to like, ooh, is there something there? It was just like, oh, okay, that was just kind of a weird little statement. Whatever. I'm not, gonna live and breathe and die with every little thing that Aaron does or how he walks or talks or anything like that. But yeah, we had some people running with that yesterday. But we'll throw some other football chat in there too as we inch a little bit closer to the Super Bowl, which next week, obviously, we'll do our own version of Radio Row. Nobody sent me to the warm climate of Arizona. Been getting a lot of messages asking if I was going to be there from booking some guests and such, but I'd like to go back. Yesterday was actually the anniversary of the last day I was at Radio Row for Minnesota, I think, but we'll see. So we'll kind of throw something into there too. But we're going to lead things off here this morning on the opening drive. We're going to talk a little hoops. My early morning question of the day for you. So Giannis said he's gonna celebrate with a little Culver's today. Gonna go to Culver's and get some burgers, get some butter burgers. We know Chick-fil-A. That was his go-to place the day after they won the NBA Finals, right? So let's have a little fun with this. Where do you go after you're maybe celebrating or something like, or where would you go? What would be like your go-to place? Say you drop 50 points, or say, you know what, I just killed it at work today, or I just dominated on the Wednesday night men's league for 35 and older softball or something like that. We're gonna go celebrate. I don't care. Where's your go-to place? Where's your go-to place? Hopefully, we don't have too many fancy people out there. But where's your go-to? All right. Let's have a little fun with this. How do you celebrate? All right. So let's get things rolling here this morning. Chilly start. If you haven't stepped outside, well, that'll wake you up in the morning. All right. We're going to talk some hoops. Giannis, man, doing his thing. Doing his thing again last night. Let's chat about it. Feeling sore from all that snow shoveling we've been doing this winter. Maybe even slipping on the ice too because it's been so cold and some of the roads and sidewalks are covered with ice out there. Got some aches and pains from, well, either falling or lifting all that snow scoop by scoop. You can't stop the winter from coming, but it is possible to help alleviate that pain with the help from Triple Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Fantastic team from Triple Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine can help reduce your pain and enjoy the ease of your daily activities. You can request an appointment simply by visiting cvosm.com today. G-Man's going to be doing a little celebrating at the Dodge today. He said, texting in. I'll be at the Dodge to celebrate retirement with all of you. That's my go-to place. Can't wait to see all of you. G-Man have a little retirement party around anytime after 3. So stopping by. And I congrats again to our Hall of Famer and MVP there. What about, let's have a little fun with this, Giannis. Well, in case you didn't, hear it, let me play the clip here in classic Giannis fashion last night after the game. Alright, Culver's, you better get ready for Giannis over there. So, there you have it. Go and, celebrate with a little, Culver's there for the Greek Freak Giannis. So we're having a little fun with this one. Where would you go for your little celebration type of meal or for whatever reason? All right, hit me up with a text on the Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Facebook.com/Casper Sports Order. If you wanted to, you can chime in on the video stream over there as well. Another 50 plus performance from Giannis himself last night, also contributing 19 rebounds, 54 points, 19 rebounds. Excuse me there. Was choking up a little bit. Middleton coming off the bench and being the second leading scorer for the Bucks, 16 points for him. 20 minutes in action, maybe getting a little bit closer and closer to cracking that starting lineup. They've been really easing on him in, but hey, it's working right now, right? Bucks winning 6 in a row since Middleton has come back, and I guess you could say since Giannis has come back, since he missed, some time there too, but, since the band was back together, it's working right now, and they're getting it done. Come from behind victory last night, outscoring the Clippers 28-18 in the 4th quarter. Giannis, we were just talking about it, that was our trivia, I think it was at, Tuesday when we did our pop quiz. We all knew that, Kareem had the most 50-point games in Bucks history. It was at 10, and now Giannis adds another one, so he's up to 6. I'm fairly confident in saying Giannis is probably going to break that Bucks record of most 50-point games by a player, but, he said it's a great compliment to be up there with Kareem. Man, I never thought I was gonna score 50 in the NBA when I got drafted. It's an insane, crazy dream. Over his last 6 games, Giannis has averaged 40.2 points per game and 14.5 rebounds. During this stretch, this winning streak here, those are the type of numbers he's been putting up right now. That's insane. That's MVP level insane. He is on fire right now. And for anybody thinking that, call me a homer, call me biased, I don't care. But for anybody thinking that he's not the best player in the world or, is it Luka, Joel, still LeBron, whatever, it's my money, I will take Giannis any single day of the week. What he can do, and nobody can stop him. Nobody can stop him. 54 again last night. It's his 3rd 50-plus game in his last 11 games. Think about that. What an insane run. Bucks did struggle shooting a 3 last night, just 24% from 3, 9 of 37 overall. So and that was, one and then we mentioned a little bit earlier, Drew Holiday, who is now in the All-Star game, selected as a reserve player, but, he struggled to open up the game, missing his first several shots. He did finish with 12 points and 8 assists, though. But glad to see Drew Holiday getting the recognition that absolutely wants. And I when you think of players in the NBA and you ask some of the, maybe diehard NBA fans or casual fans, and you talk about, okay, list me the guards. Who are the top guards in the NBA? And Drew Holiday is probably not gonna be a name that is going to come out of the mouths of NBA fans outside of Bucks fans. It's probably not gonna happen. I saw let me see if I can find it because it was on Instagram. They released, I think it was the player vote or was it the fan vote? Let me see if I can find it. Um, but it kinda gives you maybe a little bit of a glimpse to where how some people. Yeah, here it is. So, this is, players. This was the players, NBA players, who they released the votes for how the NBA players, voted for positions, and this was the guard. So, number 1, they had Kyrie. Number 2 was Mitchell, Brown from Boston, DeMar DeRozan from Chicago, James Harden at 5, but at 10 was Drew Holiday. At 10 was Drew Holiday. Trey Young was at 12, which was kind of most of the talk, like how, NBA players voting Trey Young at 12 there. But, Drew Holiday coming in at 10 too, and it's like that's the players voting that. But again, I think it's you ask a lot of NBA fans, and I think sometimes the players get involved in that too. It's a popularity contest. It's a popularity contest. You think of and this was just Eastern Conference players, we're not even talking about just the Western Conference players, but people know Kyrie, and I'm not trying to diminish the games of like a Kyrie or Donovan Mitchell, and Donovan Mitchell has been having an MVP type of year. Brown playing with Boston, obviously, and he was involved in some trade talks this past year, rumors at least. DeMar DeRozan was an MVP candidate in the first half of the season last year, but Drew Holiday is just a guy that I call it like a blue collar type of work, goes about his business. And he'll go through a couple cold stretches here and there, like last night. But you look at some of the games too that he had while Giannis and Middleton were out dropping back to back 30 plus points. We know about his defense. I'm glad he's the point guard of my Bucks team. He fits perfectly with the style of Giannis. Absolutely perfect. I love it. I'm glad he's on this team. And I'm glad he got the recognition that he absolutely deserves to be an all-star this year. When you look at Drew Holiday and some of the numbers, is he one of the, highest scoring players in the league? No, he's 47th in scoring, 19.2 points per game. He's 10th in assists per game, 7.2, averaging 5.2 rebounds per game. But especially Bucks fans, we all know just how incredibly important he is of, being the lead, the point guard of this team, being the defensive leader of this team. He's a catalyst on this team. Bucks next game will be coming up, as we said, Saturday against the Heat, the final home game of this stretch. Then they start a little bit of a West Coast trip next week. Monday, they'll be in Portland. So next week's going to be some late games since they'll be on the West Coast there. But Thursday potentially could be a record-setting historical night. If you, just kind of put away your personal feelings against LeBron if you're not a fan of him. But there's a chance LeBron could break the scoring record at home against the visiting Milwaukee Bucks on Thursday. There's a chance that could happen, and how ironic, and the story writing itself, breaking Kareem's record is from beating Kareem's record. And if you're looking at the upcoming schedule, the Lakers have the Pelicans coming up tomorrow. So if he, drops a cool 30 plus on there, not even, he's got 2 more games before Milwaukee. So it's going to be at New Orleans. Unless he drops 60 some points in that game, he ain't going to break it then. Then he's got Oklahoma City at home on Tuesday, and then Milwaukee on Thursday. So it looks like there's a decent chance he's going to be able to do it against the Bucks. And he ain't going to be sitting out any home games. No, he ain't going to be doing that. If he's going to break the record, it's going to be at home, Los Angeles, on that court. It's going to happen either way. You may not want it to happen on, against the Bucks or such, but it's going to happen eventually. I should also mention too that with the All-Star game, shout out to Oshkosh native Tyrese Halliburton making it to the All-Star game too from the Indiana Pacers. Pretty cool. I think a lot of people kind of forget about. Yeah, there's a kid from Oshkosh who's lighting it up in the NBA right now. Tyrese, 20 points per game, 10 assists per game, number 1 in the NBA. He's just lighting it up with the Pacers right now. Pretty cool to watch. Pretty cool to see. If you remember, he was a first-round pick in 2020 by the Kings. Played ball at Iowa State, and yes, I know it's probably a lot of people kind of saying, "Well, Badgers missed out on that one there too." Yeah, they did miss out on that one. Probably would have looked pretty good in the Cardinal red and white there. Speaking of Badger hoops picking up the W last night, but they really tried to make it hard on themselves. As Greg Gard said after the game, number 1 team in the country at making things difficult on themselves, most difficult on themselves. Again, a cold stretch in the last several minutes of that game. And Ohio State was just kind of creeping back on in, just creeping in. But the Badgers able to hold it down. And and it goes back to our, talk that we've had the last couple days. Who's that guy that can stop those cold stretches for the Badgers? Who can be that guy? Can it be Connor? Tyler Wall only had 5 points last night. He was the only starter to not be in double figure scoring. Chucky Hepburn saying after the game, I don't even know what else to say to that, talking about the number 1 in the country at making things more difficult on themselves. To the fans, we're sorry, but at least we're back on the winning track. I don't know. But again, just late struggles in games, closing things out. Their last 9 shots. Missed, a little nugget here from Masson.com. UW has experienced cold shooting stretches lately, but its late struggles Thursday were out of character in the context of the game. The Badgers didn't miss any more than 3 straight field goals until they saw their last 9 shots go awry. The 5th and 6th consecutive misses in that stretch were particularly cringeworthy. Stephen Crowell missed the rim and hit the bottom of the backboard on a three-point try. Tyler Wall got the offensive rebound, but was forced into a desperation heave near the end of the shot clock that also didn't hit the iron. So I don't know who that guy's going to be. I mean, you can't, if they get in the tournament, you can't have these cold stretches for several minutes. You're up in a game, or even if it's a close battle, or maybe you're just a little bit down. You cannot afford to go these stretches like they have been. It's just, no, you won't last long. Badgers will get a rematch against Northwestern coming up on Sunday. If you're looking at the overall conference, Purdue's kind of the outlier in this whole thing just because they're kind of running away. To me, they're the best team in the country right now. But got Illinois, who's 3.5 back. Rutgers, 3.5 back from Purdue. Wisconsin, 5.5 back from Purdue. And that's the thing. It's like they're 2 back. Wisconsin's 2 games back from second place in the Big Ten Conference. It's Purdue, and then it's just everybody else. Everybody else. So you look at this schedule, it wouldn't be that far out to say that the Badgers could actually be in the top half of the Big Ten when the Big Ten Conference tournament starts. But again, I don't know if I trust them. I don't know if they can take advantage of this Big Ten Conference and do that. I don't know what to expect from them every single game. And last night was a perfect example of that. Starting off hot, and it's like, ooh, who's this Badger Hoops team? And then we saw them kind of, do what they've been doing in the last few outings, those cold stretches. I don't know what to expect week in or night in and night out whenever it's a Badger Hoops team or Badger Hoops game. I don't know what to expect. So Badgers, they've got Northwestern coming up this weekend. Marquette in a battle for first in the Big East. Got a game against Butler tomorrow. Then UConn next week, Georgetown, and then the day after Valentine's Day, if everything kind of plays out how it is right now in the Big East, that game against Xavier on the 15th, that's going to be a huge game. It's Marquette and Xavier at the top right now in the Big East. Providence is just a game back. Creighton, 1.5 back too. You're looking at the remaining schedule here for Marquette. They don't have Providence on their schedule anymore. They do have a game against Creighton, and obviously that Xavier one. UConn is on their schedule too, 24th ranked UConn. UConn was going through that rough stretch there a little bit, so they're 4 games back in conference play there. But Marquette has a real shot at winning that Big Ten or Big East. Okay, we got to take a quick break here. But somebody had asked me this last night. I was talking to somebody, and they asked if I had seen the Jimmy Leonard ordeal, contract, buy it, whatever you want to call it. And we had talked about it the other day here on the air. In case you missed it, we can revisit it here. But essentially, it's like it's an interesting line within his contract. But it got me thinking a little bit here about a potential job for Jimmy Leonard. And where I'm going with this is the Packers do have an opening in their defensive pass game coordinator and defensive backs. Jerry Gregg going to Atlanta. And there's a line in Jimmy Leonard's contract because he's getting $1 million right now. Okay, he's getting $1 million, but to kind of sum it up and paraphrase it a little bit, if he takes a head coaching job in the NFL or a defensive coordinator job in the NFL or college, then salary kind of goes away. Which is what we see with a lot of coaches moving on and going to different jobs and that sort of thing. So he's getting 1 million. But again, if he moves on and becomes here it is. If he takes a job as a head coach or defensive coordinator within the NFL or football bowl subdivision college team, then they'll take money out of that payment. But the interesting line in that thing is too is like, okay, what about maybe a position, like a position job? So, or, somebody had asked me, he's like, what do you think about Jimmy Leonard maybe being that defensive backs coach? Maybe getting, jumping in, and then things don't work out with Joe Barry. You already got Jimmy Leonard on staff. Well, that would be the best of it. I think Packers fans would absolutely love that. But do I think that's actually going to be a thing? I don't see it. I don't know. If you didn't hear what this contract is, there's a line in here that a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads at. So I know we talked about it the other day, but we'll revisit it. And what would the chances be of Jimmy Leonard being a position coach for the Packers? Huh? What about that? price, quality, customer service. That's the big three I look for when I'm looking to get a big project done. And sometimes it can be hard to find all those three items in one place. But when it comes to replacing your flooring, one place hits all three of my marks. That's Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. They hit the pricing mark because they will match or beat the competition if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere. Quality is pretty easy because they all have the best and top of the line flooring options you could ask for. They carry the best brands in carpet, tile, luxury vinyl, and a whole lot more. And customer service. I could talk to you throughout this entire little read here about their customer service. It's easily one of the best, most courteous, helpful, and friendly staff you could work with. They're with you through every step of the process, from finding that floor that fits your budget and what looks and works best in your home or office. Taking on big projects can be a little nervous to think about, but when it comes to replacing your flooring, that nervousness goes away with the help from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Just visit them today at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire. Check them out for yourself. All right, we only got a few minutes to the top here. Coming up just after 7, we'll catch up with our good friend Dr. Crow for our Inside the Training Room, brought to you by Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. After that, we'll catch up with Brandon for a little bit up until 8 o'clock or so. Speaking of Brandon's mom here, Culver's is my go-to place. And finally, the NBA getting it right. Drew Holiday is my favorite. Just don't buy a jersey of Drew Holiday, okay? Brandon's mom, we all know that history. You don't need to do that. So back to that Jimmy Leonard little nugget. I know we mentioned it the other day, but somebody had asked me about it too. So in case you didn't hear, it was a couple days ago it was released, but kind of like some details about his, I guess, buyout or whatever have you. But he's getting $1 million right now from Wisconsin. And part of that $1 million payout is that he will have money taken out if the payment if he takes a job as a head coach or defensive coordinator with an NFL or football Bulls subdivision college team. And the other part in this that some people are like, that's kind of an interesting way of putting things, says that I'm reading a little bit here from Badger Extra, but that mitigation has an unusual clause, leaving the decision on whether to pursue such a job up to Leonard's, quote, judgment regarding what is in the best interest of his family. Now, as some people are kind of throwing out the last day or so, hey, Green Bay's got a opening for defensive backs coach now that Jerry Gray's gone. Jimmy Leonard played safety in college and in the pros. Put him on there, make him that pass game coordinator that Jerry Gray also had. And then maybe if it's, easy transition to Jimmy Leonard as a defensive coordinator when things don't work out for Joe Barry. That's the assumption from some people out there. Would Jimmy do that? I honestly don't think so. I think, and I don't know Jimmy, and I don't have any insight, but just from hearing from others who know him well and kind of, knowing that, I just feel like family is really important, and I don't know if he's willing to maybe uproot his family for a year. And it's in Wisconsin, but he loves Madison. He loves that area. I don't know if he'd want to move his family maybe to Green Bay for a year and then somewhere else potentially the following year. I feel like he's got the ability to be a little picky, find a job that is comfortable for him and his family. So I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I would love it. I would absolutely love it, but I don't see it happening. Morgs, staying warm?
You're recruiting Jimmy Leonard for a new gig?
Not necessarily. I mean, there's an opening for a defensive backs coach in Green Bay. So,
what did you think when you first heard about the shakeup away from the Badgers?
For Luke Fickell?
Yeah.
I loved it now.
Yeah? Big fan?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, they're doing stuff in Times Square for the Badgers. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Big representing in the on the national level.
Yeah.
What do you got planned for the weekend besides not going outside until it warms up?
Got G-Man's retirement party today.
What?
What?
Congrats. I didn't know that.
Well, maybe if you'd hang out with us once in a while, you would know this. So.
Retiring from
Work.
that for real?
Yeah.
He doesn't strike me as a guy who can sit still.
Yeah, he's going to take a little time off, and he might do a part-time job, but
hey,
a week from today was
taking
his
care of
last
you
day.
is his part-time job.
That's
No wonder
true.
he's got to kick back and relax. Is he any retirement plans? Is he going on vacation?
He's taking the month off. He's going to visit his daughter, and then just kind of taking it day by day.
Hey, congrats, G-Man. I didn't know you had a big retirement party today.
Yeah, today, Dodge, 3 o'clock.
I do love that for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
He's got to be pretty excited, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have retirement plans? Are you the kind of guy that like knows what you want to do?
Now.
What would you do if you could?
Absolutely nothing.
Right?
Yeah.
Really? Oh my God, I go nuts. There's no way. I'm not a sit still kind of person.
I'd like do some like traveling and that.
Okay, how about this? Boom. There, I snapped. You're retired. First thing you do.
Sleep in.
Yeah, that is retirement. I don't even know what the world looks like through 9 a.m. eyes, right?
No, I'd like to, because I'd like to get around actually the state a little bit more, do some hiking and
Wisconsin traveling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of the hidden gems, if you will.
Okay. First stop in Wisconsin.
I have no idea. That's why I'm looking for some hidden gems.
Would you be a drive and pull over when you saw something cool kind of guy, or would you need a map and a plan?
Yep. Just drive it and find it. Drive it and find it.
Drive it and find it. So how many years is G-Man coming off of here?
I'm not quite sure. I think close to 30.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
I bet he won't. He probably won't miss it.
I don't think so, yeah.
I talked to somebody recently that retired, and it was good. They had the countdown app on. They were ready to go. This was what it was about.
I wish I could have an app on there and do
You
that
could start one. I think you might not want to watch it in real time. It already seems like a slow crawl.
Yeah, play the lottery.
Speaking of retirement, what do you think of Brady? Yes, that's it.
Oh yeah,
final dagger, no doubt. Is he going to be at the Dodge at 3 o'clock today too?
Well, G-Man retires on Friday.
Brady
retires on Monday. I don't think anybody has seen Brady and G-Man together
at the same time. You're just saying it caused speculation.
Exactly.
You know what? Brady's got time on his hands now. A guy could probably pop for a round or two if he rolls into the Dodge today at 3. Yep. Congrats, G-Man.
All right, here we go. Second hour kicking off this morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in and making us a part of your starts on this cold, frigid, chilly Friday morning. Coming up in a little bit, we'll catch up with our good buddy Brandon Berg for just a little bit here this morning. We'll catch up on some of the local stuff that's going on, maybe even throw in a little baseball talk to kind of get you warmed up here this morning. We'll get back to some football and hoops talk a little bit later on. But we kick off this hour, as we usually do every Friday morning, inside the training room with Dr. Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. The man is now on Twitter now, people, too. You could follow him on Twitter at Eau Claire Ortho. You did it, man. A lot of people pumped about that. Well done.
There we go.
I love it, man. I love it. Hey, we got to start off talking about Brock Purdy, the 49ers quarterback, as we saw last Sunday, getting injured early in the game. Now they're calling it a torn UCL. The question, well, actually a few questions I had for you on this one. I was reading a little bit that there is a difference, and now that's a potential Tommy John issue there, but is there a difference between repairing a torn UCL as compared to like a total reconstruction? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, generally that ligament when it's injured is fully reconstructed. So we're generally not doing repairs. There are some notable exceptions. If it's torn but not completely, so let's say a grade 2 injury, there is a device you can put across it where you basically put an anchor on each side and put basically a really strong piece of tape across it. And it basically is an internal splint. It's actually, brand name is called internal brace. It holds it there and allows the ligament to heal back in. But it's not a repair in the sense that you'd grab it and like sew the ends back together. Because if it's completely ruptured like that, the success rate of a repair is low. So at that point, you're fully reconstructing it with the graft.
Okay, so they're saying about 6 months for recovery. Does that sound accurate for Brock Purdy?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's going to be pretty close. The big thing is, of course, it's his throwing arm, right? So we've touched on the Tommy John ligament in the past. It's obviously most well known in baseball. And the mechanics of throwing a baseball just put more stress across it. So there are some football players who injure it that don't need it at all. Now, of course, the quarterback is the one position football that to throw. So they do put stress across that same ligament. Just a quick recap, that's the inner ligament, so the medial or inner part of the elbow, and that stabilizes that medial elbow. So it's an important part of the mechanics of throwing. And due to that, the stresses they put on with throwing, they need to have a strong ligament there. So what they're doing, I'm sure he's getting MRIs. My guess is he may get serial MRIs, so an MRI now and then maybe in a couple of weeks to look at it and see where it's at. Because I know they're still talking about quote-unquote options, which would really be, are they going to let it ride? Are they going to do one of those internal braces, or are they going to talk about doing a full reconstruction? My guess is he would not be a full reconstruction based on what they're saying. So my guess is they're either going to try to just rehab it, in other words, let it rest and heal, or do that surgery to kind of quote unquote brace it. So, but either way, with those first two options, without a full reconstruction, I'd say 6 months he should be back throwing a football is a reasonable timeline.
So obviously we saw him not able to really do anything when he had to come back into the game, and he said, or somebody said that he couldn't even throw it 5-10 yards there. Is that? Can you kind of maybe explain to us, like, what was he feeling like? Did he have numbness, do you think, in that arm, or was it just muscle weakness that he couldn't throw 5 to 10 or over 10 yards in that game?
I'm guessing it was a combination, yeah. So, I mean, with that ligament being damaged, any type of throw is going to put a significant amount of torque at the elbow, right? And what stabilizes it is the UCL. And so without that, he's basically throwing against a torn or partially torn ligament. So, number one, significant pain. Often when people injure that, they come into our office complaining of loss of velocity with throws. So they basically just don't have the same power. Part of it's protective. Part of it's just, again, you can't create that same torque. In addition, when people take that hit, if you watch it in slow-mo, which they showed about 1,000 times during that game of that hit, you see that the mechanism of injury on the elbow puts a ton of traction, and it's not uncommon to get irritation of the ulnar nerve, or aka the funny bone. So that runs right next to, you guessed it, the UCL, right on the inner part of your elbow. So when they have that injury, we call the valgus stress on the elbow, it can injure that ligament and then put tension on that nerve. And with that, people can certainly get paresthesias, numbness, even weakness in that hand for a little bit. And so it's possible it was a combination of those things that led it to where he couldn't throw. Because, I mean, I don't think he tried a single pass, to my knowledge, after that. It was all handoffs. And It was just a sad way to see a game end, truthfully.
Absolutely. How, when we hear about these injuries, as you mentioned, we've talked about it a lot is pitchers, and they're not getting hit. So I mean, how rare is it? I mean, do they almost have to hit it in the right spot in that game to damage it like they did with Brock Purdy?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a special kind of hit to do it. I mean, throwing has that vulnerable period where the arm is coming through, and that's right when he took the hit, right? So it's not a super common injury. We don't see it really, really commonly. We'll see it in position players as well. It's like a linebacker or safety or a lineman that get their arms caught. Wrestlers, that can happen. I mean, we see that, but it just, in those athletes, it heals in, does okay. And so it's not a problem. It's just when you get an athlete that's going to immediately go back to trying to put maximum torque across that ligament where you start to say it's problematic. And truthfully, there's a really big difference between like the general football injuries, which are almost always acute contact injuries, in a whole separate category, which is pitchers, which usually are attritional tears. So think of it like one fiber at a time, and they're throwing hard, and a couple fibers here, a couple fibers there, and all of a sudden it goes from a normal ligament to an incompetent one. Now, sometimes they will have a moment where it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, but really it built up to that. So those are separate entities, and it's just, again, it's very different, right? I mean, baseball players, short of the old Robin Ventura, Nolan Ryan, there's not a lot of pitcher contact. So.
Right. Yeah. So sticking with football here a little bit, I wanted to ask you a question about Mecole Hardman. He's a wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I was reading a little bit early this morning because Andy Reid yesterday kind of already said that he's not going to be playing in a Super Bowl, but they kept calling it a pelvic injury. And then I saw from the NFL Network is that it's actually a core muscle injury. So when you hear them kind of terming it a pelvic issue, but it's actually a core muscle, would that be almost like a sports hernia or a groin injury, do you think?
Yeah. I think from what it sounds like, that's probably what it is. And so, sports hernias are a topic that's still kind of up for debate, truthfully. But most people think it has to do either with the muscles that attach to the pelvis. Some people think it has to do with a nerve that traverses through there. But long story short, it sure sounds like that because, part of, your abdominal muscles, that's what they insert to, that kind of the pelvic rim in the front of your abdomen. So an injury right there certainly could fall into that category of a sports hernia or quote unquote core muscle injury. The challenge with those injuries is, I mean, the core, as its name implies, is, the center, right? So you really can't do much of anything without engaging your core. And so when an athlete has a real bad either abdominal or core muscle injury or sports hernia, whatever term you want to use, and there's some variability with those, it's a very challenging thing to come back from because you can't just tape it up and splint it. It's just there. It has to be engaged, and it really tends to be symptomatic.
Going back to an elbow injury, but sticking with football, Landon Dickerson from the Eagles, he hyperextended his elbow in the NFC title game, but he sounds like he's going to play in the Super Bowl. Can you, since we're talking about elbows quite a bit here, can you kind of explain like what maybe ligaments or muscle, like what gets hyperextended in that elbow for people?
Yeah. So when those guys take a hit to the elbow, there's normal range of motion that people have. Most people are able to bring their elbow to basically all the way straight. Some people even a little bit beyond straight. When you get a force across it that pushes it beyond, that it'll put strain on the ligaments around the elbow. So the basically most dislocations result from a hyperextension injury. So basically the elbow hyperextends, it goes beyond a certain point where no longer the joint surfaces are pushing each other, and then the joint comes apart altogether. With that comes significant ligament injury. And it's a spectrum. So instability really is, I mean, if you look at a hyperextension injury and you watch it in slow motion on an x-ray, the joint would begin to subluxate. So that's kind of the beginning of a dislocation. So hyperextension injuries, whether you're talking elbow, knee, whatever, they can be very symptomatic and they can be quite painful. Often with it, you're going to get a combination of bone bruises because it levers on itself. So the bone is hitting itself and hyperextending beyond where it's supposed to go. So there's pain from that. And then, like you mentioned, there is often injuries to the structures around the elbow. It's usually not muscle, not so you couldn't have like a muscle strain with it as well, but generally it's going to be more ligament or capsule-based injuries. So the extent of the hyperextension will really dictate how bad the injury is. So if you were like a millimeter away from dislocation, I mean, you could tear a couple ligaments in the elbow quite easily, and then the elbow doesn't fully dislocate, comes back in, but there was a really significant amount of trauma. Conversely, you can have a mild hyperextension injury where, yeah, you have a bone bruise with it, maybe a mild sprain to some of the ligaments around the elbow, whether it's, the Tommy John on the medial side or the LCL, which is on the outer part. and those guys can miss a play, shake their elbow, and go back out there a little sore, but can participate. So there's really a broad spectrum of severity with those kind of things, but it really can be, it just depends on the angle of the hit, because usually it's not a true straight extension. It'll go one way or the other, and that kind of dictates which ligaments get injured with it.
We had somebody that texted in. They said, "Hey Doc, can you just explain why sports injuries or sports hernias are a little bit debatable right now?"
Yeah, I mean, because the treatment has been so variable. So when we talk about sports hernias, I mean, they probably in the 90s and 2000s is when that topic first started kind of coming up and people were discussing it. We had this guest lecturer when I was in residency, and I think he was from the University of Virginia, ironically, where I ended up doing my fellowship, but he was a general surgeon, and they were in the camp. They felt it was more kind of like muscular based. So it's going to be either a combination of the core muscles coming from the top, so you're basically abdominal muscles attaching to the top of the pelvis, and then you have your adductors coming down from the pelvis. So if you were to dissect out the pelvis, when you look at it, you have two tendons coming from each direction. Their thought is it's actually a strain or chronic inflammation of the muscles coming off of there. There's another camp, kind of more out of Europe, that felt it was more of a nerve, and I'm trying to remember which nerve it is, but it's basically an irritation of the nerve that runs right in that area as well. Now, the interesting thing is when people operate in both ways, they both tend to work. So it's like, well, wait a minute, you're treating two different problems. How is it both, creating an improvement? And whether it's you're, rehabbing it, whether it's you're denervating it, whether it's the actual repair of the tendon, we don't really know why they both work. So the answer is we don't have a clear etiology. Whereas, let's say you get an MRI of a torn ACL, you get 10 orthopedic surgeons in a room and we'll all say, look, it's a torn ligament. It's very obvious. You image a sports hernia and it may look normal. So if you can't really identify a clear, distinct pathology, then you start debating what's the actual cause. And when you have different treatments, different outcomes, that's where the debate lies. So it's certainly something that we do see. It's not a super, super common injury. Often with some rest, people bounce back from it fairly quickly. It's those challenging ones, through the years. I think like Donovan McNabb had surgery back in the day on it. I mean, you'll see occasionally athletes have surgery on it. And the success is still pretty good, but obviously that's a much more challenging problem if they have to go to surgery.
Yeah, because I think was it Greg Jennings, I think, back in the day when he was with the Packers had it too, but it took like a couple weeks before they decided to have surgery. Would that kind of fit that where they're trying to figure out the best approach or what was kind of going on there?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I mean, there's a number of different things that can cause these type of problems. So, I mean, it's going to be, again, this kind of issue with those. Again, the main thought is it's getting those tendons coming off of the pelvic bones. But like I said, there's been different camps on that, and the treatments have been effective both ways. So you kind of see the quote unquote experts, and if you have experts saying different things, that's a challenge for any person, right? So whether you're a lay person or an athlete, when you have multiple opinions, it creates a problem. And that's one real challenge with these elite athletes is they're often getting multiple opinions. I mean, you'll see that in the news, like, Kevin Durant hurts his ankle and he's seeing 3 different surgeons. It's like, you're going to get a little bit of a different story from each person. And not necessarily one's right or wrong. We all have different kind of approaches to problems. But it creates a challenge in how do you kind of decide which route to take, and whether it's a sports hernia or a ruptured ACL or whatever you're talking about.
Yeah, because I think I read too that Brock Purdy's going to get like follow-ups or a second opinion on what to do with his injury too.
Yeah, not surprising, especially it's one where you're debating. I mean, that's the most common question is really the first thing we ask ourselves is, does this need surgery? Because a lot of problems, if you operate earlier, it's just going to, number one, the recovery will be faster because you start the recovery process sooner. And often if you're able to get to things more quickly, you can avoid additional collateral damage. Now, he's not going back out in the field right now. Obviously, they didn't progress in the playoffs. But it just, for some athletes, it's like, look, if there's a problem, let's get there, let's get it fixed. So that's the big question. I think that's what the debate still is out, whether he's going to have that surgery. And again, reading between the lines, I suspect it would be with what's called that internal brace.
Interesting. Oh, man. Doc, appreciate it as always, buddy, for breaking everything down. And the texter just responded by saying big thanks for answering my question there. So, again,
Absolutely.
You can follow Dr. Crow on Twitter right now. I'll retweet his Twitter handle out there for everybody. Hey, stay warm and have a fantastic weekend, buddy. We appreciate the time as always.
Yeah. Good luck on the staying warm part.
Yeah,
I don't think
kidding.
anyone can do that.
No kidding, man. All right. Have a good one. We'll talk with you again soon. Okay.
All right. Yep, sounds good. Take care.
Yep, you got it. There you go. There's Dr. Crow again joining us here this morning for Inside the Training Room, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Tell you what, we're going to take a quick break here, and then we'll have Brandon on till about 8 o'clock here this morning. We'll catch up on some of the local stuff there and maybe talk a little warm weather. We'll throw some baseball chat in here this morning. Again, big thanks to Dr. Crow for hopping on. And remember, he's got Twitter now. He made it for all of you. So you can give him a follow at Eau Claire Ortho. Then you can ask him questions on Twitter over there, too. That should be a good follow over there. But I'll put it up on Twitter again if make it a little bit easier out there. So, but give Doc a quick follow on Twitter over there, just like you should give Brandon Berg a quick follow here this morning. Brandon joining us via Zoom here for a little bit. He's got some stuff planned. We're not as important for Brandon later this morning, apparently, Brandon. So come on now.
Oh, come on now.
Hey, we're going to do a cream of the crop before you go, though, too. So get ready for that. We'll do that right before 8 o'clock, okay? Instead of in the 8 o'clock hour. But before we kind of dive into some baseball chat, I wanted to ask you a couple things there. Let's do a quick recap of some of the stuff that's been going on locally. I know we had Justice in on Monday, and he kind of echoed what you said last Friday, Brandon. It's getting down to the wire here for getting closer to the postseason and such. But now that the calendar is flipped in February, what's kind of on the schedule, or what's kind of on the docket for you? Or what are you kind of watching out for right now?
I guess the quick answer would be everything. But if I have to, try to lay it out there a little bit. I mean, we've got as far as wrestling goes this weekend, both wrestling and boys swimming, we've got the postseason coming up here. So we've got conference meets coming up tomorrow. So The Big Rivers boys swim meet is being hosted by Chippewa, so that's going on during the day. Wrestling, you've got some of the conference meets tomorrow with the Clover Belt and others like that too. So, and we're not that far away from the postseason for a lot of other sports, but hockey, girls hockey has already kind of started coming out with some of their the postseason pairings there, and boys hockey will be coming out here pretty quick and not that far beyond the horizon. We'll see boys and girls basketball as well.
All right, because you just was it last night you were watching some Cadet girls basketball action?
Yep, yep. Cadet and Bloomer were squaring off in Cadet. That's a game that Cadet won, 67-51. So, and we're getting down to it. Starting to see kind of conference, championships get won or get moved towards possibly being won. So, McDonald won a share of the conference title last night with a 51-50 win over Eau Claire Regis. They can win it outright with one win next week. They got 2 games next week, so they got 2 chances to do it. But yeah, other conference titles are kind of getting to that point too as we get down to the last few weeks of the regular season.
All right, and you mentioned a little bit there too with hockey, but was it the Sabres that I saw the other day got a 2 seed in Section 2?
Correct. St. Croix Valley is the number 1 seed there, and Chippewa Falls Menominee is number 2. So that means that they will open up the postseason with a home game, and if they win, they get another home game. So, yeah, that's a very, I would say, very competitive, pretty even section there. You got a lot of teams that have wins over other teams, and Chippewa Falls Menominee is no different. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see how that develops with so many teams that have played competitively against each other.
Mm-hmm. I saw the other day, and I didn't see anything that was like too big, but was it the WIAA kind of voted on some stuff? And again, I don't think it was too big, but the one I think I kind of noticed, was there a running clock now after what, second quarter if a team's up by 35 more points? Is that correct?
Well, I think it was always the case, but I think it just possibly moved to maybe the first half if that's the case, because the running clock's always been there. But
okay.
I think that just moved to that case in case games are maybe a little bit out of hand a little bit earlier. So
Okay. Do you know if there any time frame, like because we had a couple people actually wanting me to ask you or Justice this with that BRC football lineup thing, and that wouldn't happen until 2024 at the earliest, right?
Correct. But I think that there's still more meeting and discussion on it this year. I think there's that the next meeting in March is really kind of the big point for that, where right now it's kind of getting moved along a little bit, but that doesn't mean it's a guarantee. But I think that there's a meeting in early March that's really the kind of the big time where they figure that out.
Mm-hmm. Kind of when we have to kind of pay attention to that.
I believe so.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Quick blue gold stuff too. Tonight we've got hockey that you could check out on the radio dials here at 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also at sportstalk1051.com. Men's hockey taking on River Falls. It's a loaded slate, so you can check out the entire schedule for this weekend's events for the Blue Gold. You got men's and women's swimming and diving going on tonight as well, or today as well. You've got gymnastics over the weekend, wrestling, the Don Parker Open. Don Parker was one of my professors at UW Eau Claire. Again, men's and women's swimming and diving. Got indoor track and field at the UW Lacrosse Invite. And we got women's basketball and men's basketball taking on Whitewater. That should be a good one. We got men's tennis going on. So boatload of action starting tonight with men's and women's swimming and diving, but also that men's hockey game taking on River Falls that you can check out on the radio dials right here, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. All right, Brandon. So one thing I wanted to ask you, sounds like somebody fell outside the studio for crying out loud. But one thing I wanted to ask you, I want to talk a little Brewers for you. But first of all, your boy Ben Sheets going to the Walk of Fame. You got to be pretty pumped about that, huh? Ben Sheets. You got a Ben Sheets player tee, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yes, that's very well deserved for him to be going in for that, and that's kind of the Walk of Fame, I guess. For maybe if people are not familiar, it's I think I do like the idea. It's kind of something the Brewers do for players that weren't necessarily. I mean, like the Brewers don't have very many numbers retired, and they really probably shouldn't. But it's kind of something that allows them to kind of acknowledge people that had good careers with the team, but still it's not to that level. But still, I mean, if you go outside the stadium, there's a stretch where people that are acknowledged have their own little plaque and stuff. So it's a cool honor, and it's deserved for a guy that played very well largely during a tough stretch for the team in the early to mid and even a little bit later on 2000s.
Now they got the walk and the wall, right? They
Yeah.
got which one's the most most prestigious one, I guess is what we got to say. Is that the wall?
I think it's the wall.
Okay. Yeah, because it's like different levels on there. Is that the wall?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one of them is you have to be like nominated for, and the other one I think is just if you meet a certain amount of statistical criteria.
That's right. Yeah, because then they vote on it. I think I've seen people with their ballots online.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. The other thing I wanted to ask you, I'm sure you saw this on MLB.com the other day, but Will Leitch had 10 key questions that will decide the NL Central. And we talked about it the other day, but you are our Brewer guy, so I wanted to get your thoughts. First of all, his prediction, he's got the Brewers winning the NL Central with 88 wins, one game over the Cardinals. And the thing I wanted to ask you about, he says, is that it really feels like people are sleeping on the Brewers. They looked like a legitimate World Series contender until last season's trade deadline, and they still have a killer rotation, a solid bullpen, and an underappreciated lineup. Would you agree with what Will said with those couple sentences?
Some more than others, but I think I can understand the thought process. Certainly the rotation. I mean, if the Brewers are gonna get back into winning the NL Central right now, the biggest advantage they have over the Cardinals is the rotation. They're just a little younger and a lot more, I would say, proven at a high level. So that's going to have to be important, and that is something that kind of took a little bit of a step back last year. And for some of those guys, that's really hard just because of the level that they pitched at in 2021. But I think that bringing back Wade Miley kind of fortifies that a little bit. And, there's still kind of the question where, if they may move a starter just because they have a lot of depth at that spot, or if they're just going to kind of ride it out. So the bullpen, I think, is interesting because there's just not a lot proven, especially once you get beyond Devin Williams. But there's talent there, and there's guys that have been kind of successful in short bursts. So kind of see how that works out. And the lineup, I think the lineup, with the move of Brian Anderson, who I think that was one of those moves that the more I kind of saw it, the more I kind of liked it. But it's just a year where they're going to need some guys to kind of bounce back a little bit. There's potential and possibility there, but that's one that does require a little bit more of the guys taking a step up as opposed to guys kind of playing at their career averages. So I could see it. Obviously, they're just going to need some things to go right, and maybe a few more things to go right than it would be for the Cardinals to win the division.
And he's got two questions for every team, and the one that he has for Brewers is that is this offense better than everybody thinks? And he says here the general consensus is that their pitching was great, but they didn't have quite enough offense to make up for some of their late season bullpen issues. But while there's some truth to that, the Brewers' offense was much more productive than you might remember. Essentially, every position in their lineup, other than catcher, was above or above average last year, going by OPS plus, with much of the production coming from players you wouldn't have expected, such as Rowdy Tellez and Luis Urias. What when you hear that, does that kind of like, oh, I kind of overlooked that, or like, what are your thoughts when you hear that?
No, I think that's pretty on the point. I just think that the thing that has hurt the Brewers at times was there wasn't necessarily that one person that was kind of leading the way with it. We know Willie Adames had a really good year as far as like homers and RBIs go, but maybe the slash lines otherwise with average and on base and stuff weren't exactly where you want it to be. So, I think that there was a bunch of like the number said. I mean, there was really outside of catcher, everyone was average or better, but there wasn't necessarily that person that was kind of the guy you look at and say, okay, that's the guy you're going to lead. That's the guy that's going to lead. So, I think there's something to that, but that's coming into this year, that's going to be kind of interesting to see in spring training with what happens between, second and third base. I think, Reese and Brian Anderson are probably the favorites there, but, in center field with Garrett Mitchell, catcher, they have to feel like they're in a better spot with William Contreras. But, there's opportunities there and there's people that can take it. It's just, that's kind of the big thing is just going to be who does.
How much do you personally look at the OPS plus? Because it does factor external factors like ballparks, when it comes to that number. So how much stock do you kind of put in that on base plus slugging plus statistic?
I mean, I think like a lot of things when it comes to analytics, it's something that you look at, but you don't necessarily subscribe to just one. You normally, if you look at a couple different kind of advanced numbers and they all kind of say the same thing, then that's probably going to give you what you're looking for. And I think that's the case here. But I do think that was kind of the idea the Brewers were going into it last year with, was they look, they were going to have a 2018 2019 Christian Yelich production out of anybody, but they figured if they were kind of average across the board or better, they'd still be a good offense. And that was pretty much the case. I mean, I think when you look at the last month or two and what went wrong, it was kind of a little bit of a lot of different things. So
the other article I wanted to ask you about, they talked about some of the top prospects and their top tools. And as we know, the Brewers have some really good younger outfielders in their system, and Garrett Mitchell's probably going to be the everyday starting center fielder, at least I think so right now. But the one player that they list as the best hitter out of all the top 100 prospects was Sal Frelick, in which you have talked a little bit about. Do you think Sal Frelick will at some point this season be on the big league ball club?
I do. I think he's going to probably start the year at AAA for a few different reasons, and one of those may be a reason that the team would not say out loud, which is the opportunity to extend his control for another year if he's down for the first month or so. So, but no, that's his big primary talent is his bat on ball skills. He's he's looked at as a guy that doesn't strike out very much. I mean, last year when he went up a couple levels, the strikeouts actually went down to the point where he was striking out less than 10% of the time at AAA, which is very hard to do. But he's a left-handed outfielder. He's a contact-heavy guy that can run. Could play center field. I think the big thing is you're trying to figure out if he's more of a center fielder or if he's more of a corner outfielder. But regardless, I think sooner than later, once the year starts, barring an injury or something unforeseen like that, he'll eventually make his way to Milwaukee. It just probably won't be right away.
And he's kind of really explode, because wasn't he a 2021 draft pick? So I mean, he's coming in hot, it seems like.
Yeah, some of these outfielders that the Brewers have that are either in the majors or on the cusp of the majors are guys that were pretty recent draft picks, but they were college guys that moved quick. Garrett Mitchell from UCLA, Sal Frelick, Joey Weimer, who could start the year at AAA and be up as well. So, yeah, that's always the interesting thing with the MLB draft is, if you draft college guys versus high school guys and kind of some of the differences there. And sometimes the college guys are able to move quicker just because they're, more familiar with the level of play you see in the minors because of playing in college. So they're able to kind of acclimate quicker and, have more success. And that's kind of the case with those guys.
And I know, I think Jackson Churio was listed as like a kind of an honorable mention for speed. And then I think it was Weimer that was also mentioned for arm strength. Do you think he would potentially be the future starting right fielder if he's not moved in a trade package?
I think so. I mean, he kind of fits more of a right fielder. I think he has played center in the past, but right's probably the place for him. I mean, he's a big guy. He's 6'5", 6'6". You mentioned the really good arm. There's some power there, and it's weird because I don't know if I've seen the comparison, but just by his height and weight and kind of his game, it almost reminds me a little bit of Corey Hart, where a big guy that earlier on in Corey Hart's career he could really run. And a guy that has power, has speed, but also has some swing and miss in his game. So, that's going to be interesting to see how that develops for him. But yeah, he's a guy that sooner than later, barring something unforeseen, will probably be in the majors with the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. It's sure. I mean, I don't know how they're going to get all those guys up there, but they've got quite the depth at that outfield spot. Holy moly.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
And when you look at the outfield spot as a whole for the Brewers, it's something that there's room there, because right now you've got obviously Christian Yelich, really he's not going anywhere. You've got Jesse Winker this year, but Jesse Winker's probably, I mean, he's more of a DH than he is an outfielder. He's in a perfect world he's playing more as a DH than an outfielder, but Garrett Mitchell in center, assuming he breaks camp as the everyday first base or everyday center fielder, which he very well could. Right field, we'll kind of see. That could be Brian Anderson. That could be Tyrone Taylor to start the year. Could be someone else. But it would not surprise me if by later on this year, if all things go well, that the Brewers have at least two rookies that are logging significant time in the outfield.
Is the wild card in all this, Brandon, in terms of these offense, what we talked about, are they better than what everybody thinks? Is the wild card in this whole thing, though, the banning of the shift?
Could be, because there's some guys that the Brewers have that really could benefit from that. Probably Rowdy Tellez. I know Christian Yelch's name has gotten brought up a lot with that, but still, I think he's still kind of a bit limiting what he can do as long as he continues to hit the ball on the ground as much as he can. And I'm sure that's something he knows. I mean, let's face it, if it's something that a lot of people that follow the Brewers bring up, I'm sure a player knows it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, that's going to be something interesting to keep an eye on. I think with all teams in general, but you mentioned with all these Brewers young outfielders, the possibility of them, maybe if those players are playing, kind of moving to a little bit more of a more aggressive on the bases kind of a team, which I would like to see, and it would actually suit some of the guys they got that can get out there and run. And that's not to speak of a guy like Bryce Terang, who we'll see if he starts the year with the big league team or not, but I think the expectation is going to be that he's going to be in the majors at some point in 2023 as an infielder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. All right, B, we got to take a quick break, and then coming up, we'll do a little cream of the crop. Rest of you can play along with us if you like. Who's your cream of the crop? Hit us up with a quick text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or you can hit us up on Twitter and Facebook. So we'll take that quick break, and then we've got a little cream of the crop to finish up the 8 o'clock hour after these few words. We'll have another episode of the Man Cave podcast up and ready for you later on this morning, brought to you by Hy-Vee and Toyson Ford. But we won't have Brandon on for the pod. Well, we will throw in a little bit of what that brewer shot there, but we won't have our top 5 that we're going to start to do. If you were listening to last week's episode, Brandon and I are looking for top 5, like list. Brandon, is that how you like, top 5? We did top 5 90s TV show themes. So if you have any suggestions on our top 5 list that we should do, hit us up. We got a couple of them on Twitter and that. So if you haven't, send those babies on over. We'll hopefully get to one coming up here fairly soon. So
top 5 topics.
Top 5 topics. There you go. That's simple. Top 5 topics. I like it. All right. You know what time it is. Play it up. Come on. Come on. It's cold. All right, Brandon, it is time for cream of the crop. I will give you the honors first. Who is your cream of the crop?
In light of the news last night, I'm going with Drew Holiday.
Okay, yeah.
Someone that was named to the NBA All-Star team for the Eastern Conference and definitely deserved it. I think we were having that conversation a little bit last week, but you're just never sure because it's a tough thing to do in the NBA. But he was really has been a good steady force for this team this year, especially as it's going to work through some injuries and now the team is getting back to full strength. But it's good to see him get that.
I am I'm not that far off from you, man. My cream of the crop, I'm going with the Greek Freak Giannis. Another 50-plus points, 50-plus game from him last night. He's now 6 his career. He's got 3 in his last 11 games, for crying out loud. His last 6 games in his winning streak, he is averaging 40 points per game, and now apparently he's going to be buying 50 cheeseburgers from Culver's today. So, I mean, my cream of the crop is Giannis. That dude is playing lights out right now. Lights out right now. Nobody can stop.
Yeah, especially when you look at the game kind of started obviously slow for the Bucks last night, and then he came to life and was able to him and the team were able to work through a bit of just a bit of a brain fart he had there late in the game, but ultimately didn't cost him. So it did you just kind of chalk it up to stuff happens.
Yep, exactly. So we're going all Bucks for our cream of the crop, and well, as we talked a little bit about in the first hour, they got that W last night against the Clippers thanks to a fourth quarter comeback there. Their next game is going to be Miami this weekend, then a little bit of a road trip, West Coast road trip next week. I kind of mentioned already, Brandon, wouldn't it? How ironic, because it always plays out this way. There's a very good chance that LeBron could break the scoring record with the Bucks in town. The two teams Kareem played for, Bucks and Lakers. Weird how it all works out, huh? Weird how it all works out. So that'll be Thursday. But we are now less than a week away from the trade deadline in the NBA now, Brandon. I know, there was a few days ago, there was the report that from The Athletic that the Bucks received permission to talk to Jay Crowder. That still seems like to be a thing right now. But, I mean, from what we have seen with Chris Middleton back, he's been coming off the bench, working up in minutes. Ever since the quote, band has been back together, this team has been hot, and they've won every single game. How much change or how many moving pieces do you want to see this team kind of do before the trade deadline, if any at all, at this point?
I'm not really sure, but that's the thing that obviously the front office is going to have to balance because we're getting to see a little bit of what this team looks like at full strength, and it's pretty good. So that's going to be the challenge because you want to try to balance it, but yet you want to do everything you can to make your team better as you're in the heart of this competitive window. So I'm not exactly sure what I want. So I guess I'm just going to have to be able to do what a lot of people do is wait for something to happen and I guess be reactionary then.
Yeah, and I was kind of talking about it yesterday too, Brandon. You look at it, you look at the standings, like the Western Conference, for example. There's you could say 2 teams that are probably going to be sellers: San Antonio and Houston, because Oklahoma City, they're just a game back from that 10th spot, which is the play-in tournament for basketball playoffs. But Oklahoma City is the 3rd worst team in the Western Conference, but they're only a game back. So, a team in that position probably isn't going to be sellers too much, right? Lakers, we know, are not going to be sellers. They're a game out as well. I mean, so you got a lot of teams less than a week away from the trade deadline who aren't probably going to be sellers. And then you look at the Eastern Conference, maybe Toronto's a seller, but they're only 2 games out from that final spot, and they're the 4th worst team in the Eastern Conference. With this expansion of having this play-in tournament and more teams in the postseason, it kind of takes out maybe more sellers, and then supply and demand. I got to imagine guys who potentially would be available for trade are probably going to be a lot higher than what they would have been a couple years ago.
Yeah, it really is a seller's market, like you mentioned. There's just not a lot of teams that are probably going to be looking to move people. And, as you said, supply and demand. If you got somebody that people want, in theory, you should be able to get a little bit more than you might have in the past.
Yeah, and that's why, even though Jay Crowder hasn't played for the Suns, they probably still want to get in the postseason. So I got to imagine they want somebody in return that's going to play for them right away, and not just all draft picks or guys that you cut for salary relief at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting. And yeah, because we had the one move with the Lakers and the Wizards, and other than that, it's been kind of not a whole lot going on right now. And I wonder if it's just people kind of feeling each other out, and maybe this is gonna come down to the wire here for a lot of moves. Maybe a little like baseball trade deadline, a little hot there towards the end.
Yeah, we could get a couple hours away, and then suddenly they just come fast and furious.
Oh, it'd be like what was that? With the Gary Payton trade that came down to that wire with the Bucks and Ray Allen. Remember that?
Well, hopefully it works better for the Bucks than that one did.
Yeah, I remember coming home from school and logging on to Yahoo Sports and seeing that on there. I'm like, what the heck just happened there?
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, we only got a few minutes to the top here. So next week, Brandon, we'll talk more about Super Bowl and kind of have our own Radio Row version here or there. So, but we'll hit that up. But then anything, looking back at the championship games on Sunday, I know what you had. What was your picks? 49ers and Chiefs?
Yes.
49ers Chiefs. Anything really surprised you outside of obviously the quarterback play from the 49ers, but your I guess your general recap on that and your initial thoughts heading into the Super Bowl. Do you have any?
No. I mean, you did mention a little bit about what it would take for the possibility of an Eagles blowout, and we didn't really specify like quarterback injury, but that would have been it. So I think at this point, I mean, it's one of those where you can't really, I don't think, make a case against either team that's there. I mean, we said last week, and any combination of the 4 teams probably would have been a good game. And now you've got what you picked. You've got the Andy Reid Bowl, and it's going to be fascinating to see Andy Reid going up against his old team, but also a defense that's really talented.
Mm-hmm.
And conversely, how are the Chiefs going to try to slow down Jalen Hurts when they've got some good players on defense, but a lot of success for them has come by some of their younger people really stepping up. So I'm kind of curious to see how they step up on the biggest stage, going up against AJ Brown and Devonta Smith on the perimeter and all that good stuff, and that bruising run game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So are you considering this the Andy Reid Bowl or the Kelsey Brothers Bowl?
Well, because you brought it up before as the Andy Reid Bowl, I will go Andy Reid Bowl. Plus, that increases the possibility that maybe they just changed the Super Bowl trophy from the Lombardi Trophy to a big cheeseburger.
Nice. Oh boy, did you watch any of the pay attention to any of the Pro Bowl activities yesterday?
Very little. I think I flipped during a little bit of the Badger game, but I mean, I still prefer that to the actual game itself, and it seems like people actually care a little bit more about that than the game itself.
Mm-hmm.
What it's been in the past. So I mean, it's just kind of a fun thing, and seeing some guys try to hit a golf ball, which I think I had seen the video after the fact of Zadarius Smith. You can tell I think he even said he's never golfed before, and it showed.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, before I let you go, Brandon, obviously, one topic we had earlier this week, you and I are kind of in the same wheelhouse, but Brady retiring it, calling it quits. Of the athletes that you got to witness, or sports people, because everybody has a different definition of athlete, sports players, witnessed on TV or in person, really quick, who's your top 5?
Ooh. boy, I mean, wow,
Is Brady in your top 5?
I think so for sure, but that's just that's something I would need a little time to think about because I feel like I would forget something obvious. But yeah, no, he definitely would be in there, and he was able to I guess go out twice, which not a lot of people get to. But like he mentioned, he doesn't maybe quite get the fanfare this time because he used up the emotional one last year. So.
I feel like the comparison I was throwing out there was, is he like a Bill Russell? Like he's got the championships and all that, but maybe was never considered the best athlete of his sport.
I think that's probably I think that's fair. And obviously Bill Russell, the difference would be I think Tom Brady has talked about when you look at like, oh, who's the best, football player of all time. And, that's not necessarily the case with Bill Russell,
Right.
but I think that's more because people aren't I think that's more the people that are making the argument as opposed to anything Bill Russell did or didn't do. I think he just needs to get more play when it comes to that conversation, not just for the championships, but for what he was able to do his longevity, and then how he's able to stay in the game after he was done playing.
I agree. All right, Brandon, that shot clock's going to cut me off here in a few seconds, so I'll let you go. You have a good weekend there, buddy, and hopefully we'll catch up with you in studio next week. Okay, sir?
Sounds great.
All right, there you go. There's Brandon Berg joining us, and there you go. Perfect timing with the shot clock right there. 2 in. We got one more to go. Stick around. We'll be back after these quick news updates.
Get up! He's on his way. He's our man. The man, the myth, the legend. That's Dan. And now, the Dan Kasper Show.
All right, final hour kicking off right now on this Friday morning. A little TGIF action coming at you. Appreciate you tuning in wherever and however you may be tuning in. Hopefully you're staying warm wherever you're at. Coming up, we'll get back to some more hoops talk too with the Bucks picking up another win last night. We'll throw in a little football chat. Did anybody, if you want to admit it, that's fine. I don't care. I'm just curious. Did anybody watch a little bit of the Pro Bowl stuff? Because I didn't. And I kind of want to get some reaction, some analysis, some feedback on that thing. Did you enjoy it? Was it dumb? Was it stupid? What was it like? Because I didn't. I was watching hoops. So if you watched it or not, let me know your thoughts. Okay, I'm not going to judge you whether you're not. Okay, so hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or find me on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. Let's kick off this third hour. We didn't do some sports nuggets in the last hour, so to catch up on that, let's do some sports nuggets of the day brought to you by Ansi Associates. 1876, Albert Spalding and his brother started a sporting goods store. You probably know that last name, right? Spalding. They manufactured the first official baseball, tennis ball, basketball, golf ball, and football. 1876. 1912, in the U.S., professional football set some new rules. The field was shortened to 100 yards. Touchdowns were worth 6 points instead of 5. 4 downs would be allowed instead of 3. And the kickoff was moved from midfield to the 40-yard line. 1944, Sid Howe with the Detroit Red Wings scored 6 goals in a 12-6 win over the New York Rangers. 1951, Dick Button won the U.S. figure skating title for the 6th time. We got 1979, Rod Carew was traded by the Minnesota Twins to California. It was this day in 2001. What were you doing on February 3rd, 2001? Can you remember? Think about it. Were you watching the XFL? Because that's what debuted on this day in 2001. The Las Vegas Outlaws beat the New York Hitmen 19-0, and the Orlando Rage beat the Chicago Enforcers 33-29. A year later, the dynasty began. Patriots beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. First Super Bowl win for the Patriots. Yep, I remember watching that one too. Last second field goal. And it all began. Patriots and Tom Brady and Bill Belichick all began then. Those are just some of your sports nuggets brought to you by Ansi Associates. All right, somebody just texted and asked if I had seen the Aaron Rodgers clip from Pebble Beach. I did. If you didn't see it, here, let me see if I can bring it up. I'll play it here quick for you guys in case you didn't hear it. He's at Pebble Beach golfing. Not going to San Fran, so that's all he said. I guess the guy said afterwards he looked pretty good in a cowboy helmet or something like that, and he didn't even respond or something. I don't make too much of that, but it was like I did kind of find it interesting that he flat out kind of called out San Fran. So all right, it's the Packers and 30 other teams in the running for Aaron if he decides to play. There you got it. He's already eliminated one. Maybe every day we can just kind of eliminate that sort of thing out there. I know it was like all over Twitter and social media and that, but it's like, I'm not getting into that sort of thing. I'm not. But I will say this, I didn't bring this up the other day. Kind of forgot about it. But going back to the whole Sean Payton and Mike McCarthy thing, what is going on outside? There's like banging in that. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's some people questioning now that Sean Payton's with the Broncos. He got this monsters contract. I don't think we've seen the official numbers, but it's around $20 million per year. And you had like TJ Lang and other people kind of coming out and saying, what is the difference between Mike McCarthy and Sean Payton when you look at the numbers wise? And, that was something that I kind of threw out there the last couple of years or so. And here's something I came up with, and I want you to tell me if I'm completely off, if I'm just dumb. Probably am dumb. But this was something I was thinking about the other day, and I didn't tell anybody. But the one thing that I'm trying to draw comparisons, Peyton, Breeze, Rodgers, McCarthy. And I go back to two things. These are two things where maybe if it's a media perception or if it's a PR perception, the difference between like a Peyton and a McCarthy, there's two things. One, Sean Payton came from Bill Parcells' coaching tree. He came in with a lot of fanfare. Like he was a little bit more of a known commodity, especially with like maybe more of the media or general NFL fans or football fans. Like you heard about Sean Payton, and he came from, Bill Parcells, Cowboys, and all that sort of stuff. Like you knew a little bit more about him. Mike McCarthy he had success with the Saints as offensive coordinator, but he was coming from the 49ers where they weren't doing anything. They were at Alex Smith as a first overall pick. First year they struggled. I mean, he was like a who? Who is that? Who's that guy? So I think the popularity before they even started their jobs maybe factored into that a little bit. But I think now this one might be a little bit of a stretch, maybe not for some. But the other one is, how much do you factor Aaron Rodgers into this in terms of especially like the last couple years and the whole body language thing? Because everybody was talking about Aaron Rodgers and his body language during games or his cryptic comments. Oh, is he taking a shot at so-and-so? So then that kind of like opened a door to people like, hey, let's write a blog or let's write an article about this. Let's see. So it kind of opened that door like, oh, obviously there's got to be something going on there. So that opened it for writers or maybe media people to kind of dig into this a little bit more. You never heard about, Drew Brees and body language with Sean Payton. You never heard about Drew Brees, saying cryptic stuff, or is he calling out Sean Payton? Is he calling out the Saints, doing this or that? And, there was a time where the Saints with Drew Brees and Sean Payton went 3 straight years of 7-9 play. But you didn't really hear like, oh, there's no drama going on. And did it start with the quarterback? You know what I'm getting at? So like, is it because of that whole narrative that, oh, there's got to be something going on because, Aaron's throwing fits or it looks like he's pouting or it looks like he's mad. So that's obviously, shade at McCarthy. So McCarthy's he's got to be the reason why everything's going so bad. Everything stinks. Everything sucks right now. And now you're kind of looking at it and it's like now you got a majority of Packers fans that want Rodgers out, want him gone. I don't know. That's just those were the two things that came to my mind. And you could, if you wanted to kind of break it down by like, well, in-game adjustments or in-game, that sort of stuff, go ahead. That's fine. I'm looking at it more from the outside perception, not necessarily like in-game stuff. Because I think a majority of it is outside perception. And I wonder if it was just when they first started, the two big things were when they first started, the popularity, the coaching trees they came from, or the organizations they came from, and the attitudes of their quarterbacks, I guess, is probably the best way to maybe kind of put it out there. The attitudes of their quarterbacks? Maybe. I don't know. Those were the two I came up with. Again, I might be completely off, but who the heck knows? Who the heck knows at this point? Kind of a fun thing we were talking about, I think in the first hour already. But somebody had asked me if I'd seen the Jimmy Leonard contract thing, and we touched on it a couple days ago. But in case you wanted a little bit of a refresher there's that. So the Badgers are paying him $1 million right now. But he loses some of that pay if he becomes a head coach or defensive coordinator in the NFL or at the college level. It doesn't mention anything else about like a position coach, but the other I shouldn't say weird, interesting line here, and this is from BadgerExtra.com that says the no, not that part. Let's scroll down here a little bit. But that mitigation has an unusual clause, leaving the decision on whether to pursue such a job up to Leonard's judgment regarding what is in the best interest of his family. Now, I'm not quite sure how they can, like, the quote part, judgment regarding what is in the best interest of his family. That's where everybody's kind of like, oh, that's weird. But the fun part was there were some people talking like, hey, Green Bay right now has an opening for defensive backs coach. Jimmy, you want to make a quick move from Madison to Green Bay and become the defensive backs coach? Heck, just give him the whole title that Jerry Gray had over there, defensive backs coach and pass game coordinator on the defensive side. Fun to think about. Then, you're like, hey, it doesn't work out for Joe Barry, which a lot of Packer fans are kind of assuming that it probably isn't going to work out. Then you can just make the easy transition of promoting Jimmy Leonard to defensive coordinator. Bada bing, bada boom, it's done. It's taken care of. I don't think Jimmy. I'll tell you, I would love that move from a Packers fan. I would absolutely love that move if Jimmy would take on the exact role that Jerry Gray had, defensive backs coach and pass game coordinator. I don't think he will. I think he's still in a position of being a little picky on what he wants to do. I don't know him personally, but talking to people that do know him, he's very family oriented, and you've heard him talk about his family and staying in the Madison area. I don't know if he would be a guy that would move to Green Bay for a year, uproot his family for a year, and then maybe find another job and move again. I don't know if he would do that. I don't think he's looking for a job or a position where he's hopping all over the place every year. I think he wants to find a position that he can kind of create a home base, stay there for a little bit, stay there for a few years, ideally maybe a little bit longer. I don't envision him as that guy that is just going to take a job and then, play it year by year. I think he wants to find some stability and be there for a while. But I tell you, straight up as a fan, I would absolutely love it. I mean, that would, and then you're going to have, and the other part in this whole thing too, you're going to have the constant, okay, now you got Jimmy Leonard into the fold. The first day Joe Barry screws up or the defense screws up, you're going to have the calls. There's going to be the social media. There's going to be the internet. There's going to be the talk radio. There's going to be the TV shows. It's kind of having like a countdown sort of thing. Like, all right, when's the move going to happen? When is it going to happen? I don't know if that's necessarily fair to even like Jimmy Leonard or anybody else on that staff. But, hey, I would love it. I don't think it'll happen. I doubt it'll happen. but I would be A-okay with it. I think a lot of Packers fans would be A-okay with it too. But who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? It sure seemed like Jerry Gray and Joe Barry at least had some disagreements to how the defense should be. Just kind of reading between the lines and some of the pressers that Jerry Gray did when they did position coaching pressers during the season. Just some of the stuff that he kind of said, it seemed like he wasn't maybe fully on board with the plan that Joe Barry was kind of implementing. I don't want to accuse or say he was or anything. It just kind of seemed like it at times. But again, he didn't get fired. Jerry Gray didn't get fired. He was a free agent coach. His contract expired, and he went to Atlanta. Moved on to Atlanta. There's a lot of teams right now still looking for coordinators, defense coordinators. Minnesota's looking for a defensive coordinator. If Brian Flores maybe doesn't get the Cardinals job, he interviewed with the Vikings over there. Ejiro, the defensive coordinator for the Broncos. Here's a what if. 2 of the top 3 choices for Packers defensive coordinator when they hired Joe Barry. Joe Barry was one of them. Jimmy Leonard, by all accounts, turned it down. The other one? Ejiro, who's the defensive coordinator for the Broncos that a lot of teams would love to have right now. He was the other top 3 guy. Now you're just kind of sitting there like, oh my Lord, what did we do? What do we do? Matty, come on. So, yeah. What if, huh? Hindsight's always 20/20. But I think, a team like Minnesota, if I'm the Packers and if I'm a Packers fan, I'm kind of keeping an eye on what Minnesota's going to do over there, who they're going to hire for defense coordinator. They hire a big name or a solid candidate over there. That's a home run hire. Lions right now, they lost Deuce Staley. He's going over to Carolina. He was their assistant head coach over there with the Lions. Kind of a big loss there, but Jamal Williams loses his position coach. He's going over to Carolina with Frank Reich. But we'll talk some more football next week. Really get into the Super Bowl stuff, and we'll get your picks and kind of keep tabs on Super Bowl picks and all that fun stuff over there too. So before we take a quick break, something new that we're going to be doing every Friday is I'm going to be sending out kind of a weekly wrap-up newsletter via email. I would appreciate if anybody would be interested in signing it. It's for free. It's I'll try not to annoy you too much, but I probably will. But just kind of a weekly wrap up, some of the main topics and some of the podcast stuff that we put out there this week and all that fun stuff. But if you want to sign up for free, get it sent to your email. Even if you don't check your email, just sign up for it. And just go to sportstalk1051.com and click on the subscribe tab. You can check it out over there. Just, subscribe tabs, scroll down, sign up for it there. Going to do it every Friday, kind of a weekly wrap up. It's called Here's the Thing. So if you're looking for it and it's like, I don't see that anywhere. It's called Here's the Thing. So you can sign up over there too. So, but I would appreciate that sign up. If you want me to send you the link, just hit me up with a text and I'll get to it and I'll be nice and send you that link on over there. Okay. So, but we're going to take a quick break here in a couple minutes. Sounds like we're going to be chatting with our good friends from Hy-Vee. Looks like Phil from Hy-Vee is going to be stopping by, telling us what's going on over at the amazing Hy-Vee this week. So that should be just a little bit past 8:30 here this morning. So we'll catch up with them. But kind of the fun question I threw out there in the first hour for you all was, Giannis, he's celebrating with a little Culver's after the 54-point performance last night. So our fun question, what are you celebrating with? Like if you pretend maybe you're an NBA player and you drop 54, what are you doing to celebrate? Maybe you hit a walk-off home run in 35 and older slow pitch softball. What are you doing to celebrate? You kicked what at work this week. What are you doing to celebrate? Where are you going? Or what's your, maybe choice of beverage or food or something like that. We had a few Culver's picks on there already. Some just kind of casual ones out there, like just grabbing a cold one. Did have a couple people picking them. Oh, Just a couple of cold brewskis, toasting it up there, and we're calling it a night. Calling it a good one. G-Man's doing the do dodge and such. Again, retirement party for G-Man. I'm gonna stop by anytime after 3 today. We're gonna make a quick stop over there. So, but hit me up with a text or find me on Twitter and Facebook. All right, we'll do a quick break here. We'll catch up on some messages and that good stuff. We'll be back after these quick words.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Hi, I'm Bob Bossel, inviting you to join me on a tour of Scotland and Northern Ireland with agricultural highlights August 15th to the 25th. We'll see the scenery, the people, and the agriculture on this one-of-a-kind tour in the land of the 40 Shades of Green. We'll visit the Edinburgh Castle, make unique stops at an Irish dairy farm and other agricultural highlights and villages, and enjoy a Guinness or two. Visit holidayvacations.com, keyword wax, to learn more about our tour, or call 888-557-1020 for a free brochure.
Looking for that perfect gift for your Valentine this year? Any ideas what you're thinking of getting? Well, for one, jewelry is out of style this year. No need for that. Flowers? We know they don't last long. This year, get something that your Valentine really needs. And that's some new tires for their vehicle from ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. Not only will you be replacing those old, unsafe tires for your Valentine, but having new tires will also help them improve their gas mileage, which helps them save some money. And speaking of being safe, getting those new tires will improve their traction, which we all know here in Wisconsin is incredibly important with all these snow-covered roads. Or maybe your Valentine is restoring a vehicle and they need that hard-to-find used auto part. Bingo! ASAP Used Auto Parts can help you find that part to complete the restoration project. So I gave you the perfect Valentine's plan. Now it's up to you to execute it. Head on over to ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire, and you can visit their website, asapUsedAutopartsEC.com, to make this Valentine's Day extra special.
This Valentine's Day, send your sweetheart the gift that shines above all others. Name a star after them. I'm Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, we will name a star after your sweetheart and send a beautiful gift package. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com for this year's hottest Valentine's Day gift.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Elk Rod and Gun Club's annual ice fishing contest and jamboree returns to Bugle Lake in Independence. Saturday, February 4th is an afternoon full of fishing and winning. Claim your share of thousands of dollars in prizes, including a $20,000 reward if you're lucky enough to catch Old Bugler. Live music from the Endorphins, plus food and refreshments available. See more at Independence Elk Rod and Gun Club's Facebook page. And see you on Bugle Lake, Saturday, February 4th.
Looking for your next gig, but tired of boring job fairs? Careers and Beers is the ticket. Thursday, February 23rd from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Brewing Project in downtown Eau Claire. Area companies will be on hand, and we will even buy you a brew as you find your next career in a casual, cool environment. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Join the stations of Midwest family at Careers and Beers on Thursday, February 23rd from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Brewing Project, downtown Eau Claire.
Do you remember all those times playing in the backyard and daydreaming of either playing on your favorite sports team or dreaming about all the goals you wanted to accomplish in life? We still do that today, and that's why we created Backyard Dreams. We want to help people accomplish their goals, chase their passions, and achieve their dreams. Whether someone's dream is to attend a ball game, someone needs a new pair of basketball shoes, or a Little League team needs help going to a tournament, we want to help, and we need your help as well to help our community. To learn more about Backyard Dreams, just visit sportstalk1051.com.
Bottom of the hour on this Friday morning as we get set to wrap up this week and head off for the weekend. Talking with our good friends, Phil and Katie from Hy-Vee. What's up, guys? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right. Hey, I got to turn your mic on. You're on mic 3, not mic. I'm used to mic 2 all the time over there.
Throwing it off.
Yeah, throwing it off there. So, still cold out there?
It is still very cold out there.
Okay, yeah, so bundle up there. Katie's still got her jacket on. I think she's still like kind of frozen a little bit there. Well, you guys, first of all, Phil, I was telling you about this off the air the other day, but we had a couple people that texted in about the diaper drive and kind of just wanted me to pass along thanks to you guys for doing that. And it sounds like it was a really good success.
Oh, it was great. We got a lot of people come in just to buy the diapers. We've got 2 full pallets of diapers because we said we would match.
Mm-hmm.
So we're delivering those to the diaper bank either earlier today or early tomorrow. So it's awesome.
That's awesome.
Tons of diapers.
Thank you to you
Literally
guys.
Thousands.
Yeah, thank you to you guys, but thank you to everybody who donated.
Absolutely. Thank everybody. This is great because, like I said, it's going right back to our community.
Mm-hmm.
So people in need are going to be able to get their kids diapers, and I think that's mission accomplished.
Absolutely. And as we've said a few times, anybody who's had young ones, they go through like that.
Yeah.
Like that. So that's awesome. Hey, you dropped off charcuterie. Is that how you say it?
Charcuterie.
Yeah, this one's charcuterie. We're going to be making these every weekend. It's just enough for one person, a quick grab and go charcuterie cheese treat, and every weekend we're going to have some different items in there for you to try that we sell at our deli.
That's right. You can see it on the video. Phil just we got quite a few people watching right now, so Phil's kind of like a model right now. It's like The Price is Right a little bit there. Yeah. That's awesome. It almost looks like a Bloody Mary in a jar.
It does. Like it's everything I want in every meal. Like, meat, cheese, a few vegetables to say I'm good, and then more meat. So
that's awesome. So that's every weekend, Katie?
Yeah, every weekend, and every weekend it's going to be a different grouping of items in there.
That's really cool. That's a nice perfect snacks thing. I know we go there and we'll hey, it's around lunchtime trying to find a quick snack or something like that. That's perfect, especially for the kid now.
Yeah, too. I know, and you should pick them up when they get them because there's some weight to this.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, like you look at it, you're like, okay, but no, there's food in there.
I'm thinking this is perfect because my kid is such a picky eater, but he likes fruit and cheese and that. This is perfect.
It is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's finger food too, because if your kids are like my kids, they want fast, go do something else. Fast, go do something else.
Yep, he's got to either play a video game or something like that, or watch Bluey or whatever the heck's on TV and that. So. That's odd. Speaking of meat, you got another meat sale too coming up.
We sure do. It's going on right now.
That's your wheelhouse.
Truckload meat sale. So I look these because these are the big bulk packages for people that want to stock up.
Mm-hmm.
So this weekend, we had one last week and we're doing it again this week. And it was just like, boom, boom, let's just do it twice. So we've got your huge 16-ounce bacon, but 12 a whole case of that for $40. So you're getting 12 packages of 1 pound bacon. So that's sweet.
Yeah.
It's the Hickory County bacon. We've got huge summer sausages in the Cloverdale, the 28-ounce summer sausage, $8.50. We've got the whole bone-in pork, $1.99 for the whole one.
Ooh, wow.
And remember those, you can always, if you I can't eat all that in one sitting, take it up to the counter, ask them to cut it up for you. We'll take care of you. So, we can cut those up for you. And then we have the whole 10-pound ground chuck, $37 for the whole 10-pound chuck. Again, need us to cut that up, split it up for you. We can take care of you. Oh,
and you'll do that too?
Yeah, we'll take care of you on that.
Nice.
That's all part of it. Is we know where you're set stocking up, but there's very few moments. There's very few moments where you're like, I need 10 pounds of chuck right now.
Yeah. Well, it depends if you're making Phil's chili.
You do need a lot.
You do need a lot right there.
That is the number one ingredient.
But that's a perfect timing with the meat sale because we got the big game coming up.
We sure do.
Next weekend. So that's going to be load up on the meat for that.
Yeah. And a little teaser for next week. We have a 7-hour sale next Thursday. So it's a 2 p.m. starts at 2 p.m. sale. And one of the things in that, the Tyson, like your chicken strips, your chicken wings, the frozen ones, they're going to be $3.99.
Holy.
And that is hot.
Yeah.
Right before the big game. Limit 2. Everyone's going to be buying 2 of those.
Exactly. Ooh.
And then we got pork butts in there, $1.28 a pound too. So, get the smoker rolling. Briskets are $2.99 next week as well. And then, and Hy-Vee shredded cheese, 99 cents during that sale.
Put that a little bit on the chili
there
too.
So everything you need I mean, that's everything I need.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
For the big game.
So, like, I gotta ask you guys, like, if you are having a big game party and that, what's your go-to? What's your go-to food?
What's the go-to food?
Yeah.
Gotta have wings.
Yep.
Absolutely. I like pulled pork.
Mhm.
I mean, I put pulled pork in everything, so it's a default. But
do you put coleslaw on your pulled pork sandwiches?
I do too. There's a lot of people that don't.
I started doing that a couple years ago, but now I do. Yep.
It does. It works. And then I really like the meatballs, little smokies, all that grab and go.
Give me a bunch of slow cookers and put some snack stuff in there.
That's a Super Bowl party.
I agree. Totally agree. How about you, Kay? What's your go-to snacky
Oh,
food?
I'm gonna have to go with meat and cheese. We're in the deli world here.
Exactly. I like it. Got to do some cheese curds in that. Put that on there.
Oh yeah,
that's a good point.
absolutely.
Yeah, Ellsworth with all different flavors. Oh my gosh, party platter of that.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a good time there too. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
What you got? Is it a moonlight? Well, that's part of the.
That's that big
that's
sale,
that
yeah.
moonlight. Okay.
And then so next week I got the daily deals too. So
That's right.
Get your listeners in on some of these sneak peek on some of these daily deals. So Monday, Jack's Pizza, $1.49 each, no limit.
Oh, so you better get there.
No
we
limit
took
on
advantage
these.
of the Tombstone one last week.
Yeah.
Tombstone pizza.
That's going to be crazy. There's going to be people with just cartloads of Jack's Pizza.
Yep. There was one time I was walking, like we were there, and I'm like, why do people have all these 6-packs of sodas? Well, it was like one of your sales.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's why right there.
Tuesday is Lean Cuisines for 99 cents. So quick, easy meal.
Yep.
Wednesday, Frito-Lay party size chips, $1.99. And then we talked about Thursday already with that sale.
Yeah.
So we got some sweet deals next week.
You are perfectly set up for the big game party with those chips and the meats and the deli stuff.
And then you got the Lean Cuisine for the day after when you're like, wow, I ate too much food yesterday.
Right, exactly. Agree that the Monday after should be a holiday?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Take the day and recuperate and kind of recover, or maybe if your team lost, a little depression part of it. We're not Kansas City though.
Yep.
For Hy-Vee. So I was going to ask who you pick, and I don't think I need to ask.
No,
who
you
do
do not. We default right to the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's Katie. You going Kansas City too?
Yeah.
All right. So.
My mom is from Philadelphia, so she's a big Philly fan.
We might have to put Phil's mom on the Eagles part.
No. She made me pretty upset. She's like, "Oh, your Vikings are pretty good this year, but they're not the Eagles." I was like, "Get out of here."
So, what was it like a few years ago when it was the Vikings and Eagles in the NFC Championship between you and your mom?
Oh, we watched it.
Just leave it at that.
That's where that story ends.
I saw, was it Travis Kelce that he said to it? I'm glad finally somebody said, "Don't put a Chiefs jersey on the Rocky statue. Don't do it." Everybody's done it, and they've gotten their butt kicked. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Just don't touch that thing. It's a jinx.
Yeah.
So
no, just let them do their thing.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna put Phil and Katie under the Chiefs one. So we were gonna.
Where are you at? You Chiefs?
I'm leaning towards that. I am. I think it'll be a good game though.
It's gonna be an excellent game. They're good teams, so I'm excited about that. So I mean,
I just hope everybody's healthy. I know Chiefs are a little bit banged up, but I hope everybody's healthy and ready to go. And I think it's going to be a spectacular.
Yeah, they're both excellent teams this year. Even if I don't like the Eagles, they're doing they're a good team.
You got to give them credit there.
Yeah,
They're getting a job done. So all right, well, you got anything else you guys want to?
Crack heard around the world tonight.
That's right.
Yeah, that's going to be at 4 o'clock today. My cheese specialist is going to be cracking a brand new, fresh 90-pound wheel of Parmesan Reggiano today.
Ooh.
And I do love Parmesan Reggiano. And
I remember you talking about these cracking.
And then what's the big thing? Tell them what's the big thing about the crack?
The cool thing about the crack is that fresh wheel. Right when you crack that open, you can smell pineapple and you can taste pineapple. When right when you open that, you are going to be able to taste a shard of that, and it's going to be just citrus and pineapple. In your
Why
mouth.
does it smell like pineapple? Is it just how it?
It's just how it works.
With the enzymes
amazing.
and everything else, it's leaking that butter fat, and it's just something about it. It just makes it happen. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very unique, cool thing.
Is that what you were telling me? Like was it the taste test? You kind of like go in the middle or something like that?
You go in the very center of the wheel. So they drill all the way down to that very center of the wheel. And the World Cheese Competition's coming up really soon.
Yeah,
right?
It's actually the United States Cheese Championship competition is going to be in Green Bay in the end of February here.
Boom. So that's pretty exciting too.
I'm just saying, doesn't Mark have a buddy that has a house by Lambeau?
I'm sure he does. He probably has a buddy that's running the whole thing.
He's got a buddy all over the place. Well, you guys, appreciate you stopping by here and chatting with us and getting ready for the big game. You got me hungry now, so I'm going to dive into this. This is a really cool idea every week that you guys are going to be doing
Yeah, no,
These-
it's perfect.
Yeah.
Grab and go.
I'm going to post a picture up on social, but everybody probably saw Phil doing the Price is Right, modeling right there. I'm going to screenshot that and send it to you too. So, Katie, Phil, thanks for stopping in, guys.
Hey, thanks, Dan.
You got it. All right, we're going to take our final break here this morning, and then we got to wrap up things and head off for the weekend. We'll be back after these quick words.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Oli is a leading supplier of specialty yeast extracts, yeast-based flavorings, and culinary powders. Based in Boyceville, they're focused on taste, health, and natural ingredients. At Oli, they pride themselves on maintaining a friendly, team-driven culture, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and practical shift schedules. Oli is currently seeking professionals in project engineering, research and development, process engineering, production operators, and electrical engineering to help them improve the taste of life. Apply now at oli.com/careers. That's OHLY.com/careers.
Name a store where you can grab your groceries that includes a top-of-the-line meat, deli, and bakery department, and also has an awesome wine and spirits and floral department. Oh, and a shoe store, multiple restaurants, a pharmacy, and a bar, and low prices that includes fuel savings. Despite what you might read in the mail, that perfect store exists. It's simply Hy-Vee. But don't take my word for it. Go experience the Hy-Vee experience yourself by visiting them at 2424 East Claremont Avenue in Eau Claire.
Parenting comes with a lot of questions. At Bye Bye Baby, we're here to help you prep for everything you expected and everything you didn't. Pop by your local store for brands you trust and expert advice. And because we can't wait to meet you, we're giving you extra savings. Text BABY to 42229 for $20 off your in-store purchase of $100 or more. Again, text BABY to 42229 for $20 off. Bye Bye Baby. Welcome to parenthood.
Hey, it's Alex, and the Shoe Doctor has the prescription for your aching feet. Custom orthotic insoles made while you wait. These insoles come with a free in-store trial and a 30-day comfort guarantee. If you're not satisfied for any reason, they can be returned for a full refund. These custom insoles are great for work, walking, exercise, and everyday use. Orthotic insoles will alleviate pain in your back and lower body, provide heel and arch support, and will help with plantar fasciitis. So stop in today. Try a pair of custom orthotic insoles at the Shoe Doctor across Claremont Avenue from Hy-Vee in Eau Claire.
Milk, eggs, $42. Ma'am, you okay?
Need bucks? With Jackson Hewitt, don't wait weeks for the IRS to send your tax refund. Come in now for up to $3,500 with a no-interest, no-fee refund advance loan when you file your taxes. That's up to $3,500 today. Don't let high prices get you down. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes. So get to Jackson Hewitt today. For eligible clients, loans by Republic Bank and Trust Company. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Bossel, inviting you to join me on a tour of Scotland and Northern Ireland with agricultural highlights August 15th to the 25th. We'll see the scenery, the people, and the agriculture on this one-of-a-kind tour in the land of the 40 Shades of Green. We'll visit the Edinburgh Castle, make unique stops at an Irish dairy farm and other agricultural highlights and villages, and enjoy a Guinness or two. Visit holidayvacations.com, keyword wax, to learn more about our tour, or call 888-557-1020 for a free brochure.
Question. He wants to get out.
The latest sports news, scores, opinion, and commentary. If that's not enough, you should seek professional help. The Dan Kasper Show.
All right, wrapping things up here this morning. Big thanks to Phil and Katie for stopping by. Good friends from Hy-Vee. I've already busted in their charcuterie called. I didn't think they still made these. Maybe it was just when I was growing up as a kid. I think it was it the Gad cheese curds? It was like the shoestring ones. Forgot all about those until it's actually in this one. But remember, yeah, I think it was the Gad cheese curds that always did like the shoestring ones or something like that. But it's amazing. Speaking of Medford, Big Worm headed to Twin Lakes to visit a Medford alum this weekend. Oh, really? Awesome. What is this? For a little Miller Park golfing and watching the Bucks dominate the Heat. Have a great weekend, Captain. Love the show. Well, thanks, Big Worm. Awesome. Oh, I know. Yeah, I know who you're. Yep. Okay, I know who you're referring to. Gotcha. I mean, is it Amfam Field now? Now I get it. I got you now. Surveyors going having a delicious steak and seafood dinner with a couple of brewskis. All right, good one there. All right, let's cover some of the bases here this morning. Obviously, we've got we talked a lot of Bucks here. Drew Holiday, he's going to the All-Star game. Heck yeah, about time. Giannis with another 54-point performance last night. 6-game winning streak for the Bucks. They'll take on the Heat of Miami tomorrow night before heading out west with the first game against Portland. Next week's 3 games, they're all going to be late. You're talking about 9 p.m. tip-offs or a 9:30 p.m. tip-off next Friday there. We might see LeBron break that scoring record, Kareem's scoring record against the Bucks on Thursday night. He's 63 points away from that. He's got 2 games before the Lakers take on the Bucks there. Was it New Orleans and Oklahoma City? Right before the Lakers take on the Bucks there. But trade deadline is now officially less than a week away. Still pretty darn quiet in terms of, well, no trades or no moves being made. So the way you are seeing this Bucks team play, though, do you want to see the Bucks make a move? You know, we kind of threw out, was it the Athletic? I think the other day posted or reported that one of the packages that the Bucks put together was Hill, Jordan Nora, and some second-round picks for Crowder, which apparently the Suns want somebody else, like a forward to replace Crowder. And that's why they're looking for a third team for this deal. But if that's all the Bucks had to give up was Hill, Jordan Nora, and maybe a second-round pick or 2, I'd be good with that because I don't think you're really affecting the chemistry too much, or you're not really affecting the rotation too much. You know what I mean? Like, you're not taking out Grayson Allen, or you're not taking out Carter or Pat Connaughton or anything like that. I mean, if that's what it took, I'd be good with that. But I don't know if that's all it's going to take. But from what you have seen right now, especially in these last 6 games, ever since the band has been back together, do you want the Bucks to be aggressive by their trade deadline? As we've been saying, it's probably going to be a seller's market because you still have quite a few teams who are maybe just a game or 2 outside of a playoff spot. So how many of those teams are going to be those, quote, sellers? I don't know. So it might cost a lot more, and I don't know if I necessarily want the Bucks to, overdo it. But we'll find out by next Thursday. We'll see then. Badger Hoops, they didn't make it easy on themselves again last night, but they did pick up the W against Ohio State. Started off the first half looking decent, but then again, cold down the stretch. The last several minutes, just cold, freezing up. But they escape with a 65-60 victory against Ohio State. They got a rematch coming up against Northwestern this weekend. So we'll see if they can maybe make up a little bit more ground in terms of the Big Ten Conference standings. At least that's the one positive in this whole thing, is outside of Purdue, because Purdue's by and far the cream of the crop for the Big Ten Conference. But everything else is kind of mumbled jumbled, and it could just take a couple games, and the Badgers are back up in the first half of the Big Ten Conference. I just want a seeding now that, you finish the regular season maybe in the top 4, so you can kind of get a good seed in the tournament, maybe win a game or 2 in the Big Ten Conference tournament. Maybe that'll help your your resume when it comes to the overall tournament. We were talking about, just saw this. So Field Yates from ESPN just posted this. It's a good breakdown here because I mentioned just past 8 o'clock that there still seems to be a lot of offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator openings out there. And well, Field Yates just broke it down. So there's still 2 head coach openings in the NFL, Cardinals and Colts. Sounds like the Colts might do a 3rd round of interviews. A 3rd round of interviews, for crying out loud. I don't know if it's just because they're being that thorough or they literally can't agree on a person or they feel like the people they've interviewed, they're not obviously sold on. I feel like maybe there is that little bit of tug and war between the owner, Jim Irsay, and the general manager, Chris Ballard. Shout out Wisconsin, Chris Ballard, Badger. I still feel like maybe Irsay wants Saturday. Ballard, probably not. So maybe there's this little bit of a tug of war thing going on here. But offensive coordinator vacancies, you still got the Buccaneers. Obviously, you got the Cardinals because they don't have a head coach. Colts, same thing. The Washington Commanders, the Dallas Cowboys, Panthers, Ravens, Texans, Titans. Defensive coordinator vacancies, 49ers, Panthers, Saints, Texans, Vikings. The 49ers one I think is pretty darn attractive. Miami just signed up Vic Fangio for 3 years there. But you look at San Francisco, a top-fledged defense. If you are a candidate for that job, I got to imagine that's got to be job number one in terms of, any defensive coordinator job out there, even maybe ones that are already filled up. That's got to be number one. You're going to be calling plays. You're going to be going into a situation where it's got a solid group already. But I got to imagine that's an extremely attractive job for any potential defensive coordinator over there. All right, we talked a little Brewers with Mr. Brandon Berg this morning, too, as we inch a little bit closer and closer to pitchers and catchers reporting. We've got spring training games coming up at the bottom of the month, the end of the month there. So you'll want to pay attention to sportstalk1051.com. As we get a little bit closer, we'll have the schedule up there, including the spring training games that will be airing on the radio dials, 105.1 FM and 790 AM. So we'll get to that soon here. Also, we chatted a little football there with the whole Rodgers sort of thing and everybody freaking out about him saying he's not going to the 49ers at his little golf tournament at Pebble Beach and that, but I'm not. I know it's something that's trending on Twitter and that, and we kind of have to mention it, but whatever. It is what it is. So we'll get more into Super Bowl talk and kind of have a little fun week planned next week, kind of doing our own little version of Radio Row, Chippewa Valley Radio Row, Wisconsin Radio Row, that sort of thing. So we'll start that all off on Monday morning right away. So pay attention, stay tuned to some details to come. But we'll hit the ground running right away with all that on Monday morning. What else do we got out here? Some stuff that maybe we missed. We're kind of, nobody chimed in and said that they watched any of the Pro Bowl stuff. So I'm assuming none of our listeners did, or they don't want to admit it. I didn't watch it. I saw some of the clips online, but to be honest with you, I kind of forgot it was on. I didn't think about it. And honestly, I didn't care because I was watching hoops. That wasn't a priority for me. Now, I could have maybe, we got the screen and the TV and the man cave, put it on and see the kiddo. But I don't know if my 5-year-old really like, oh, hey, dodgeball. And then I feel like he would have asked, well, why aren't they actually just playing a game? Why aren't they playing a football game and that sort of thing? And, I know Derek Carr lit it up on the quarterback accuracy thing, which some people are like, hey, it's kind of like a pro day workout for prospective teams on there. Whatever. But no, so I'm assuming none of our listeners kind of tuned into it. Or like I said, they don't want to admit it, which, whatever. I'm not going to judge. I was looking for I was looking for an analysis, like what people actually thought about it, if they watched it, if they even cared about it. But programming note again, reminder, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, but Blue Golds, you can catch their hockey game tonight on the radio dials here at 105.1.com or 105.1, excuse me, at 790 AM, and then at Sports Talk 105.1.com. You can check the action. Puck drops at 7:05 as men's hockey taking on River Falls. That should be a good one there too. I think we covered everything, right? We got it all covered. Big thanks to Brandon for hopping on, breaking down some of the local stuff there too. If you missed our conversation with Dr. Crow for a little inside the training room, we'll put it up on our episode of the Man Cave podcast. It'll be up a little bit later on this morning. Always enjoyed chatting with Dr. Crow over there too. So, but just kind of going through some of more of the messages. Shout out to Giannis hitting up the best in Culver's. Gosh, I love that man. You know, for all the, there's a texter over there, for all the stuff, if we want to call it, going on with the whole Rodgers drama. And then you got, Brewers, maybe some frustration from a lot of fans, maybe not doing enough in this offseason in their eyes to, add more to the offense to help out the pitching staff or whatever, frustration there. Then you got Giannis, maybe casually putting up another 50-plus game last night, saying he trusts Culver's. He's going to go to Culver's and buy 50 burgers. He's going to eat as many as he can, give some to his kid, give the rest to his dog. National treasure. How lucky are we to have Giannis in this state for our Bucks team? What a dude. What a dude. I know there's some people that are so quick to try to find who the next best player is in prospective sports. Like it's every year, every couple of years, who's the next best? No, this person's the best one now. This person's got to be the best one. It kind of goes in cycles. It maybe goes up and down and that sort of thing. For my money, though, it's still Giannis is the best player in the association, in the National Basketball Association. Is he a consistent guy from the outside? No. Obviously, we know about his three-pointers. Obviously, we know about his free throws. But yet, nobody can stop this guy. Nobody can stop the freak. And in a sport that I would say some people, maybe a good chunk of people, just they're not NBA fans for a reason, whether it's officiating or personalities or the style of the game, whatever it may be. You got a guy like Giannis where it's hard not to be a fan of him. It's hard not to root for a guy like Giannis who he goes in there. He's so modest. He's so humble. He has fun. But he turns on a different switch when he's on the court, and he just turns into this dominant basketball player. Mean mugging and throwing it down. And, even like the other night when he went up for that block and got in the stands, everybody thought he hurt his knee. I loved what he said after the game. He's like, I felt like I didn't contest a couple of shots earlier in the game. So, I wanted to finish it off and kind of finish off strong there. So I love that mentality. I love that mentality from him. From, looking at it long term, was it necessarily smart? No, but here's the thing though, too. Like if that was halfway through the third quarter and, game's tied in that, are we complaining about it? Probably not. And I get it. It's like, well, it's a situation. And I understand. I get it. But I love the mentality from Giannis. And I love his mindset. Gosh, I hope the Bucks can get another championship with him on there. That would be, he'd have, I'm not trying to make total comparisons here, but I mean, if Giannis gets another championship, I'm sorry, but he's got more than Rodgers and he's got more than Favre. Obviously, we're still waiting for a World Series for the Brewers. Just throwing that out there, but all right, DP and Dennis, they're going to be coming up next. Shot clock's going to cut me off, so stay warm. Reminder, I'm going to be doing a weekly every Friday, kind of a wrap-up little email newsletter. Would love it if you all can sign up for free. Try not to annoy you too much on there, but it'd be awesome if you could. You can do so at sportstalk1051.com. Just click on that that subscribe tab over there. Okay, would appreciate that. So, but again, stay warm. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll be back at it again Monday morning to kind of kick off our version of Radio Row here. Should be some fun. Should be fun. Hopefully, maybe we'll see you this afternoon at G-Man's retirement party. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you Monday morning.